love that. Hello everyone, and welcome to, I guess, tentative title, Public Domain Day. Although Public Domain Day is an actual day, and it's typically January 1st. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna call this. Maybe the name will change. If anyone has a good idea that you're willing to have me steal, please let me know, and I will steal it from you. But yeah, today we're gonna be looking at, public domain stuff. If you don't know, I imagine everyone does, but just in case you don't. Films and books and pieces of art are under copyright. Copyright law in the United States is pretty draconian in that Disney has lobbied the government to make it incredibly long how long your copyright lasts. However, your copyright on your material does eventually expire, and then it enters what is known as the public domain. In the public domain, no one owns it anymore. You can't, I mean, you can chart, like, if you put a public, you or I, if we have a DVD factory, we can take as many public domain movies as we want, and we can put them on a DVD, and we can sell them. That's why, like, if you'll see, like, bargain bin DVD things at, like, the 7-Eleven near you or something, it'll be like, 50 sci-fi movies for $3! They're usually all public domain movies because they didn't have to pay anyone for the rights to the movies. So I think the public domain goes back into like the mid-20s now, but also there are exceptions to this. Some films just don't have their copyright renewed, or they didn't, like, something like Night of the Living Dead should technically still be under copyright, but at the time that that movie was made, the rules for copyright for film were you had to put copyright, you know, you've seen it in old movies, copyright and then the year in Roman numerals. That was a rule, and if you forgot to do that, your movie wasn't copyrighted. So Night of the Living Dead accidentally is in the public domain. There are a lot of other things like that, a lot of, like, propaganda movies and industrial films and stuff like that. Their copyright is lapsed. So we're also going to look at some of those today. But a lot of public domain stuff, I think at least the standard where it has to be public domain, I think is like 1924. What year is the public domain?
There's nothing funny about
1924 are finally entering the public domain after a 95-year copyright term. 95 years, that's ridiculous. However, under laws that were in effect until 78, thousands of works from 63 would be entering the public domain this year. Yeah. So, it's going to heavily depend on the laws at the time when the thing was made. Thank you, Taco Lovers 79 for following, and TNTeater? I'm assuming 21. Thank you for following. Kagos, thank you for gifting a sub to Craftpunk. So it's a cool thing. Public domain characters you are probably familiar with. The two characters with the most movies and TV shows made about them ever, in case you've ever been curious, are Dracula, who is a public domain character. Anyone can make a movie about Dracula. You can do whatever you want with Dracula. And Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes, is a complicated legal matter in terms of public domain, because, and this is about to happen with Mickey Mouse too, interestingly, so we'll talk about that. But Sherlock Holmes, most Sherlock Holmes books at this point are in the public domain, but I think there's roughly 5 that are not, because they were written over a long span of time. So, Sherlock Holmes, the character, technically in the public domain, right? You can make a Sherlock movie, and you don't have to pay the Arthur Conan Doyle estate a dime. However, because they're really, really holding on to Sherlock Holmes as a valuable thing, they're very litigious. So what they'll do is the 5 Sherlock Holmes or whatever books that are still under copyright and are not public domain are the ones that show character development for Sherlock, and he tends to be a little softer, a little more human, right? So that's why so many modern iterations of Sherlock are cold, calculating sociopaths, because when you try and do a more caring Sherlock Holmes, as he became later in the series, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's estate will sue your ass. This has happened recently with Enola Holmes on Netflix, which is a spin-off movie based on a series of books that was written more recently, following the adventures of Sherlock Holmes' daughter, or not daughter, sorry, sister, younger sister. And in that movie, Henry Cavill plays Sherlock Holmes, but he's not like, if you've seen Moffat's Sherlock, where he's like, I am a high-functioning sociopath. He's not that at all. He's a very bright individual, like Sherlock Holmes is, but he also cares about his family, and he's like a decent guy. And Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's estate's like, nope! We own that, bitch! You can have sociopaths, Sherlock, but the second he shows an emotion, we are suing you. So they're suing Netflix right now, and it's very, very stupid. You can sue... I think this is stupid, and I feel like the judge is going to be like, you can't sue for this. You can't sue for this. It's incredibly stupid. I was wondering if Enola was going to be a problem, because there were books on Enola. Yeah, but those books are not in the public domain. However, Netflix actually did pay. Like, it's an adaptation of the book series. So, copyright's complicated, because Sherlock Holmes is in the public domain, which is why the writer of Enola Holmes can use those characters without paying the Arthur Conan Doyle estate. However, when Netflix wants to make a movie series based on Enola Holmes, which is very entrenched in a public domain world, because it is now the copyright of that creator to make an Enola Holmes series, they have to pay that creator. Now, I don't remember if Enola Holmes is mentioned in the original Holmes book. If she is, then anyone can make some Enola Holmes thing. It's just that Netflix literally based the movie on an adaptation of the Enola Holmes books. So, anyway, it's complicated. And like I said, something similar, I heard Sherlock Holmes having emotions isn't public domain. Yeah. Which I just talked about, but I assume you messaged that prior to me saying that. Something interesting is about to happen, because Steamboat Willie in 4 years, Steamboat Willie, the first movie, the first anything to feature Mickey Mouse, is set to go into the public domain. So you're going to have a similar situation. And again, the copyright, the way copyright used to last 30 years and then the rest of the life of the creator. So like it's automatic for 30 years. Or I think it's like the rest of the life of the creator. So like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's life, and then 30 years after that was like the old law back in the day, right? So you could live off the thing you created your entire life, like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then your family can have a 30-year period where they continue to make money on it, and then it's in the public domain. Disney comes along, and they start lobbying Congress to extend copyright longer and longer and longer so they can hold on to Mickey Mouse and Snow White and all these movies that they own, which is ironic considering they built their empire on public domain creations. like Snow White. Snow White's a public domain character, but it was a huge movie for them, so of course they want to extend copyright so that can't go into the public domain. So now, currently, copyright lasts for 95 years! It's absolutely ridiculous. So, either in 4 years, Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie is going to fall into the public domain, or, more likely, Disney's once again going to lobby Congress to extend copyright. It's already ridiculous. It's really getting to the point where if they try and do that, I hope the internet's like, Congress, fuck you. Don't do this. So then you wind up in a situation that's going to be complicated, because people, this character of Mickey Mouse in Steamboat Willie, he's going to be public domain. And Disney doesn't use Mickey Mouse a ton. Like, not really. I think the biggest play Mickey Mouse has gotten in importance in the last, like, 20 years is in the Kingdom Hearts games. But still, nonetheless, there are people who are going to be going around making, like, little animated shorts using this version of Mickey Mouse. Now, bear in mind, they still have the copyright on everything that's Mickey Mouse after that. It'll continue to erode over time if copyright isn't extended again. But, like Sherlock Holmes, this version is going to be public domain. So what do? You know? And let me be clear, it's a little different than trademark. Like, the actual, like, silhouette of Mickey Mouse that Disney uses as a logo, that's trademark. That's trademark law, that's a different thing. But, like, if you just want to make, like, a YouTube short or an animated movie starring this character, I'd argue that's technically legal, but Disney's gonna fight it tooth and nail. So it's gonna be very, very... There's gonna be some interesting lawsuits in the next 10 years if copyright doesn't get extended again. They just did a huge new Mickey Mouse ride with their older style Mickey. Interesting. They also have copyright over Kingdom Hearts. Yeah. He's on a kid's show. Oh, that's true. He is on that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse show, which I've never seen because I don't have kids or anything. But, yeah. So, but again, bear in mind, there are still 5 stories for Sherlock Holmes that are still in copyright. But he's still considered a public domain character. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in terms of Mickey Mouse and him. Let me look up some public domain characters so you can see what I'm talking about. Public domain characters list. Oh god, that is so many. Okay. Robin Hood, public domain character. Van Helsing, public domain character. Alan Quartermain is a public domain character. The Frankenstein monster is a public domain character. Although this is somewhat misleading because the picture they're using is of the 1930s Universal Frankenstein. So, like, you can use the Frankenstein monster in your movie, but if you give it a square head, green skin, and bolts in its neck, Universal's gonna sue your ass. So you can have the character, but you can't have the character as is depicted in another copyrighted work, or else you're open to lawsuits. Copyright's very, very stupid. Captain Nemo from 1,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or whatever it's called, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, sorry. We got some comic book characters I'm not familiar with. King Arthur, Dracula. This is just Witch. Witch is a public domain character. I guess that's true. It is folklore. So yeah. Blue Beetle. Although that's the original Blue Beetle, not the current Blue Beetle. That's the original Blue Beetle that is in the public domain, not the current DC Blue Beetle. Long John Silver, Felix the Cat, Alice of Alice in Wonderland is a public domain character. Quasimodo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. Basically, if you can think of a folk tale, all those characters are public domain. Scarecrow. Oh, Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. Probably because of the books, but you can't... Like, the movie Wizard of Oz isn't public domain yet. I think that still has about 15 years or so left. That'll be fun. If I'm still streaming in 15 years, we're gonna watch Wizard of Oz together on a public domain day, and it's gonna be fun. Achilles, of course, you know, characters from Greek myths. Judy of the Jungle, who I'm not familiar with. Rosie the Riveter is a propaganda character that is in the public domain. You get it. It's a lot of old book characters and folklore characters. If you can think of a character that's over 100 years old, they're probably in the public domain, at least in some way, shape, or form. That's why you see so many, like, Dracula things. Because anyone can make a Dracula movie and you don't have to pay anyone, but also everyone knows who Dracula is. Anyway, so that's enough of a preface on like, public domain and what it is and how it works. So with Wizard of Oz, you can't have ruby slippers. You would have to use silver slippers. Yes, exactly. Which is interesting. So, like, for those of you who don't know, the original books by Frank L. Baum for The Wizard of Oz, which is it was a children's book series. Think of it as sort of a Harry Potter of its day, in that it was a very prolific, popular children's book series that tons of kids loved them. If your parents could afford to buy you books, you probably had at least one Wizard of Oz book. Then in the 30s, that got turned into... Oh, Fourth Horseman, thank you for subscribing. That got turned into the movie The Wizard of Oz that we're all familiar with, made by MGM, one of the early color films. And in that movie, because they wanted to take advantage of the Technicolor, which is this new process where they can, do vibrant color film, because prior processes for color, they existed, but they were duller. Sometimes you'd end up with more like a sepia tone, very dull. But then Technicolor comes around. You've seen this probably in some old movies, like, oh, presented in Technicolor, because Technicolor was this new process that gave you incredibly bright, vibrant colors. Which is why, by the way, the movie starts in black and white and then it turns to color. The moment where Dorothy walks out of that black and white house into the colorful Oz, the audience is supposed to go, oh, because it's all in beautiful, vibrant Technicolor, which was a new thing. It was a gimmick. It's the 1930s equivalent of, now put on your 3D glasses. The 3D part of the movie's about to start. And I know that sounds silly that, like, color was a gimmick at one point in film history, because it's hard to think about it that way. But it was. That was the Spy Kids 3D, put on your 3D glasses moment. It's very, very cool. So anyway, oh god, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so to take advantage of the Technicolor thing, the original books of The Wizard of Oz, they aren't ruby slippers, they were silver slippers. But in the movie, they're like, oh, we want something bright and vibrant that really is going to pop on camera, so they changed them to ruby slippers. So yes, you could use silver slippers in a movie about The Wizard of Oz, but you cannot use ruby slippers because that's still owned by whoever now owns MGM's catalog. I'm actually not sure who owns that currently. Is it Disney? I don't know. Which is why, and this is funny too, there are cases where Disney's extending of copyright has kind of bit them in the butt. Not enough that it was, in terms of like risk-reward, it was definitely better for them to do it. It's evil, but I understand as a corporation with a profit motive. But remember in the last 10 years, I don't remember exactly when it came out, they made that bad Wizard of Oz prequel with James Franco as the Wizard of Oz. And they had the Wicked Witch of the West, played by Mila Kunis. So they had to base what they were doing in that movie more so on the books, because MGM, or whoever owns MGM's catalog, owns The Wizard of Oz, the movie, and all that stuff. So they couldn't have ruby slippers. And this literally got to the point that whoever owns MGM's catalog sued Disney over the shade of green. Or was it that they sued, or that Disney made special care to make it a different shade of green? Basically, there was some sort of legal concern about the shade of green that the Wicked Witch of the West was in that movie. Because it was, obviously, if you watch whatever it's called, Oz the Great and Powerful, something like that, it's a bad movie. I really don't recommend it. Chapomon with a subscription. Thank you. 5-month streak. Thanks, Hannah, for the daily content. No problem. Thanks for coming and watching it. Much appreciated. So even though that movie is clearly, like, getting you to evoke 1935 Wizard of Oz, legally they're not supposed to do that. So the movie really, really rides a line. It very, very much rides a line. So where does Wicked? Oh, Wicked. Okay, Wicked is, again, more akin to I actually haven't seen Wicked. I would imagine because it's using the characters from the book. Like, the Wicked Witch of the West is in the book. So, like, they can use those characters, and they can use Scarecrow, who, as far as I know, is a part of the musical. And I know they add stuff like she's like Alphaba in Wicked, and I don't think that's a thing in the original books. But, like, they can use the characters. I don't know, do they use ruby slippers or anything in the play? If they do, that is incredibly legally dubious, and it's amazing that they got away with it. The transfer of medium probably helps a little bit. The fact that it was a book, and then, they don't? Okay, yeah. So they're just using the public domain characters. I'm sure, once again, they're probably evoking a lot of the stuff from the movie, but you can do that as long as you're not explicit with it. Watch Wicked. Is there a good, like, cast recording? Sort of like with Hamilton? I know there's not, like, a movie adaptation, but, like, is there, like, have they ever recorded the cast doing Wicked? Because I've not seen it. Actually, I think Baha and I were supposed to go to a college production of Wicked, but then COVID happened, so she had to get refunds for the tickets. There's a soundtrack. I know, I've listened to the soundtrack for Wicked. I'm aware of some of the songs. Like, I know Defying Gravity and Popular and all that stuff, but I haven't actually seen the thing itself. Speaking of medium changes, Cats was playing on my flight to Orlando. Oh, God. Do they want someone to crash the plane? Have you guys seen Cats? It's bad. If you're gonna watch Cats, just watch the old one that was on VHS. Magical Mr. Mistopheles is flamingly gay, and I love it. And I'm pretty sure he's banging Rum Tongue Tugger. And I'm here for it. Anyway, Rum Tum Tugler. Is it Tugler? Not Rum Tum Tugger? I wish I could show that. That's very much not public domain, though. Tugger? Okay. Gotcha. Anyway. Let's actually watch some public domain stuff. I've opined on public domain enough. There's an official recording of the Wicked Broadway show coming out next year. Oh, rad. Okay, I'll just wait for that then. I really liked the Hamilton. I love the Hamilton soundtrack. Hamilton is a flawed piece of art. I completely admit that, even though it sort of wink, wink, hint, hints at the problems with a lot of the founding fathers, the slavery and stuff. It majorly glosses over it. And it also does weird things, like it ships Alexander Hamilton with his sister-in-law, which is not a thing in real life, so it's weird that he put that in the musical, and now a bunch of people are gonna walk away thinking that Alexander Hamilton was, like, hitting on his sister-in-law, even though that didn't happen. And it also kind of, I don't know, I don't like the song. I swear we'll get to the content of the thing soon. Although I guess I kind of am part of the content, because I'm, you know, it's my channel. But, like, the Tell Me How to Say No to This song annoys the shit out of me. It's like, tell me how to say no. It's, for the context, if you haven't seen Hamilton, first of all, go see Hamilton, guys. Come on. Second of all, the song is, he's a woman, he's helping a woman out, and she comes to his house and, like, seduces him, even though he's married. And he's like, where? It's on Disney Plus. Go watch it on Disney Plus. 1776 was a better founding father musical. Sit down, Piers Squire. You're fucking wrong. Anyway, don't have Plus. Then pirate it. It exists. It annoys me that the song is like Alexander Hamilton being like, tell me how to say no to this, ooh, and it's all about like, ooh, I'm so tempted, and it's like, alright, but fuck Alexander Hamilton though, right? Like, fuck that dude. Anyway. Disney distributed it, but it was filmed prior to that. The filming of Hamilton is fantastic, and even though the play itself has flaws, it's an amazing like piece of art. Like, holy crap! Lin-Manuel Miranda is a brilliant lyricist, and I love it so much. It's just it's endlessly clever. It's funny. Its set design is brilliant in its minimalism, and that they use that turntable thing on the stage. It's absolutely fantastic. See Hamilton if you haven't. And I'm sure you've heard that. Like, oh, Hamilton. Everyone likes Hamilton. No, it's, like, really good, though. It's really, really good. You're hungover and you want to die. I'm sorry. Drink some water. So let's see what we got, okay? We got a bunch of public domain stuff. Mutiny in Outer Space. We have some sci-fi films that are in the public domain, which would be kind of funny. We have a bunch of, like, old documentary things, a lot of which are probably going to be a little propaganda-y, because so much stuff is. Oh, hey, Baddie Bell, thank you for gifting 10 Tier 1 subs. Nice. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
About the tools of capitalism.
Great Train Robbery. Is that public domain? I assume it is. Oh, I have a thing that's a World War II propaganda film about knowing your enemy in Japan, and then a eugenics propaganda film from 1937, which is probably going to be real yikes. Real yikes. I kind of want to start with something that's fun, though. Ooh, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The beginning of German Expressionism. I know words.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
I don't know. What's this? The changing of deviant behavior. This is only 1:43 seconds long. So I guess we can watch this because it's quick.
This was how your day started. Started wrong.
Barbara! Barbara, get up. You'll be late for school.
Does she have to do this every morning, Barbara? Even if you're not really well-mannered, you could make a habit of being civil. Helen has trained herself to know what she's going to do, and she's able to match the right skirt with the right sweater. As usual, all your neighbors knew how late it was when you went by at your regular dog trot. Helen has a habit plan, and it includes a healthy breakfast and a pleasant word with her parents. And you're almost always late, and you're guilty about it. You're in a rut with a bad habit. Distaste for your sloppy ways.
Those desks
you
are
were in bed
weirdly
with
close
always
together.
late. And you
I would feel, maybe I'm just misremembering school, but my school, in fairness, I went to a school in a pretty nice place. The public school was, like, well-funded, but holy shit, those desks look uncomfortably close together.
You're guilty about it. You're in a rut with a bad habit. Distaste for your sloppy ways. You were embarrassed by your messy hair and the fingernails you had neglected to clean. You weren't listening.
But we always go to the beach. Every year we take a cottage at Essex.
You couldn't help interrupting, could you? You added nothing to that conversation. It's a little late for tears, isn't it, Barbara? Even though you didn't know it was going to happen today, you've still had your whole life to prepare for it. And now it's a little late, isn't it?
Yikes. Someone recommended The Great Train Robbery. It's 12 minutes long? Okay, we can watch this. The Great Train Robbery. The funny thing about, so many early silent films is, they would have in the movie houses, they didn't call them movie theaters at the time, they called them, like, movie houses. They would have someone literally, because you hear the, you know, the, Like, the sound that you're hearing is not sound that was available to people during the movie. It's a silent film, so they'd literally have someone there playing, like, an organ or a piano or whatever they happen to have. I think some films do sheet music, and some films just had the person, like, improv, like they'd watch it through a couple times and kind of come up with their own stuff. But I think some movies had sheet music, so I'm not sure if the music that we're hearing in this is from that, and it's actually what was intended to go with the movie, or it's something that someone just made up to go with it after the fact. But either way, just think about it with that as the context. Was this, like, early enough that it was an actual, like, Thomas Edison thing? Filmed in 1903 at Edison's New York studio. Yep. Edison's an asshole. Did you guys know that Thomas Edison basically tried to have a monopoly over the film industry because his company invented the film camera and projector, and he basically wanted to sue anyone who wanted to make their own movies? Oh, look at that! You got a train over here. I wonder if that's like a rear projection thing or what. I wonder how wild this was at the time. Like, you've never seen a movie before, and then this exists, and you're like, wow, look, it's people, but they're not people. They're, like, on a thing on the wall, because you can't think of the word screen. Edison was a fraud. He stole tons of ideas. Yeah. He's like early 1900s Elon Musk. Pays other people to do work and then claims he's the genius who invented it. Which is why I find it so ironic that, like, Elon got involved in a company called Tesla, considering Tesla and Edison were rivals, and Elon is much closer to Edison than he is Tesla. Have you guys ever seen the first movie? It would be a stretch to call it a movie by today's definition, but the first piece of motion picture to ever be shown publicly, I think it's called, like, The Train Arrives at a Station. It's literally a shot of just a train coming into a train station, and it's, like, coming towards the camera, and I don't know how true this is. It feels like a pop cultural urban myth. But the myth is that people in the theater started freaking out because no one knows what a movie is. You know, you've never seen a movie before. You don't even know they exist, and you're being shown this moving picture for the first time. And, like, a bunch of them got up and ran away because they thought a train was gonna hit them. Sounds like an urban myth, but... This movie was a huge development in telling longer-form story. Most movies up to this point were just fun, random things, you know. Honestly, the fact that movies work at all is so fortunate. Because when you think about it, like, there are so many things that have to work for us to enjoy movies. We have to see at a certain... frame rate's probably a wrong word in terms of eyeballs, but, like, the illusion of film itself as it was invented, you know, running pictures successively at a certain rate would create the illusion of a moving picture. It's very convenient that that works. Secondly, Kuleshov effect. If the Kuleshov effect didn't work and our brains weren't able to stitch together cuts in a way that's comprehensible to ourselves, movies would be a mess and would make 0 sense. the fact that we understand, like, intuitively almost, and we're probably a little more trained because we've seen movies and TV shows all our lives, but, like, the language of film, the fact that a language of film exists at all, and if someone shows you one shot and shows you a completely different shot that has nothing to do with the other shot, your brain can still intuitively understand or form a connection between the two. It's impressive. It's, like, good. Like, movies wouldn't work otherwise. Kent Hovind screeching noises. You know what I like about this movie? No dialogue. So many silent films do the thing that if you've seen Singing in the Rain, you know what I'm talking about. They'll do the thing where they're like, and Buster Keaton films and Charlie Chaplin films don't do this often, but like a lot of movies will do the thing where they're like, and then a thing will come up on screen with the dialogue. I appreciate that they're like, no, this is a silent film. If we can't explain what's happening by showing it, why bother? 74 Quinn 74 for my parakeets. Parakeets' eyes are so good, apparently movies are like a slideshow to them. Oh, that's cool. When this was first shown in movie houses, someone may have narrated what was happening on stage. Can't be sure, though. If so, that's lame. Have some confidence in your product. I understand what's happening. Like, it makes sense. Is this the first on-screen death? What's the first on-screen death of a character? I gotta look that up. I'm curious. First on-screen death. Ever. Come on, why is this hard to find? First death in a movie. And I know one of the early movies was Frankenstein. I'm not counting that because he doesn't make it out of a dead body. He makes it out of a bunch of chemicals. First death in a movie. It's still giving me, like... like accidents like Brandon Lee. No, that's not what I want. I just want to find the first time a person died, like not really died, but like their character died in a movie. This is 1903. List of earliest movies. The Electrocuted Elephant. Oh, oof. What was that elephant's name? Was it like Lucy or something? I don't remember. 19th century in film. 1888, Lost and Earlier Surviving. That's just someone filming a garden. American First Film Studio, Black Maria, the first film showed publicly on kinetoscope, a system given to Evison and blacksmiths. In France, the Lumiere brothers screen test films at the Salon Indu du Grand Café in Paris. If you've seen the movie Hugo, you are aware of the Lumiere brothers. Sherlock Holmes baffled in 1900, Joan of Arc. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. She must have died in Joan of Arc. So, I don't know. This definitely wasn't the first, though. Was that whose real name? Topsy? Topsy was the elephant that got electrocuted. Okay. Did they eat Topsy afterward? That sounds like the most late 1800 things ever. Thomas Edison electrocutes an elephant for his propaganda, and then he goes, all right, let's eat the elephant. Topsy, Topsy. The Lumiere brothers? Yeah, I think that was the real name. I guess I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. The Oh, God. Spelling is not... Lumiere. I can't even spell in English, much less in French. Auguste and Louis Lumiere, the Lumiere brothers, Auguste Marie, Louis Nicolas, and Louis Jean were manufacturers of photography. Okay, so no, it must have been a name they, like, picked up. The Lumiere brothers. Society... Okay. So it's just something they picked up. That's pretty cool. No, it does say Auguste Marie Louis Nicolas Lumiere and Louis Jean Lumiere. So there you go. That's pretty cool. Did they do a trip to the moon, or was that another person? A trip to the moon. Nope. Georges Méliès. So that's a different person. We should watch that one. That one's pretty good. Sorry, I keep pausing in the middle of this. And the first movie with special effects. Define special effects, because, like, even in this movie... Wait, that was 1902. This is a year later, so fair enough on that one. But, like, Frankenstein, first movie, Oh, no, that was 1910. Was that Edison's Frankenstein? Okay, all right. That's pretty interesting. Metropolis. Have you guys seen Metropolis? I cannot believe they made that movie. That is so bonkers. Like, that must have been, at the time, the craziest thing to watch. Like, I'm not gonna say the movie holds up. I don't know if it does. But, like, in terms of presentation, in terms of production design, it's a masterpiece for the time it was made in. It's absolutely bonkers. What Dracula did Christopher Lee play in? Oh, Christopher Lee did a bunch of the Hammer Dracula movies in the 70s. Late 60s and the 70s. Blood of Dracula. Dracula 1970 something it was called. I don't remember. There's a story about how Méliès accidentally found jump cuts because of his camera malfunction. What are public domain movies? Public domain movies are movies that are so old that they are no longer under copyright, so no one owns them. Anyone can watch them, anyone can distribute them, anyone can do anything you want with them because no one owns them. Lee was first 1958's Dracula, also known as Horror of Dracula. Did he start in the late 50s? Was that still a Hammer film? I thought Hammer didn't get started until, like, the 60s. If I had a time machine, I would do really stupid stuff with it. Obviously, first you do you kill Hitler, you do your serious time travel stuff first. But then you're done and you just still have a time machine. What do you do with the time machine? Take someone who has just walked out of a movie palace in 1903, or a movie house in 1903, watching this movie, and they're like, wow, that was an amazing adventure movie. And I just step out of my time machine, and I'm like, come here. And I take them to the future. And I'm like, this is what we call an IMAX movie theater. This is Transformers 12. Optimus Prime gets a lobotomy. Please watch this Transformers movie and just see them have a heart attack at what they're seeing on the screen. Enlid, if I'm not mistaken, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is also public domain. Sorry if this was already mentioned. I'm pretty sure it is. I've not seen the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I know it's the first, like, movie to be like, oh, German Expressionism, but I don't know anything about it other than that. Actually, I know a little bit. I know it's about someone who uses a sleepwalker named Caesar or C something, and he uses him to attack people. And the framing device is someone in a mental institution. Take them to Endgame. Endgame doesn't even make sense if you're from, like, 2020 and you haven't seen the other Marvel movies. If you brought someone from 1902 to come and see Endgame, they'd be like, what the fuck is this? They'd probably use some old-timey parlance instead of the F word, but you know what I mean. The more effed up thing would be like, hey, watch this movie, Avengers. It's a documentary about... I guess you'd have to explain what a documentary is to someone from 1902. This is based on a thing that happened. Oh, God. And then you'd have to explain who Captain America is to them. They're like, oh, who's the guy in the America outfit? And they're like, oh, it's Captain America. He's a World War II propaganda character. World War what? Maggots SMH, thank you for following. Show Night of the Living Dead. I'm thinking of doing Night of the Living Dead on Halloween, so I want to save that. This is The Great Train Robbery from 1903. The first Hammer Frankenstein movie was 57, the first Hammer Dracula was 58. I thought they were later, because when I think the like, Hammer horror films, I associate with the mid-60s to the early 70s. And that, like, really, really red blood. The vivid, like, it's not realistic, but it's like that vivid, like, you know, neon red blood that they have. Night of the Lepus. I know about Night of the Lepus. DeForest Kelly slumming it in a Killer Rabbit movie. Let's all be horrified about Birth of a Nation. Oh, God. Can I even show Birth of a Nation? Like, Birth of a Nation is public domain. Absolutely. Can you show Birth of a Nation on Twitch without it being TOS? Obviously being the context that it is like an old movie. That's rough. I don't know about that one. I was thinking the same thing about, like, oh, should we at some point watch, like, Birth of a Nation? Or not Birth of a Nation, sorry. Triumph of the Will? And I'm like, wait, that's a literal Nazi propaganda movie that Leni Riefenstahl did. I don't think I can show that on Twitch, even though it's public domain. Not with the new TOS, yeah. Yeah. Not worth risking it. Not at all. It's very educational, though. If you want to see some messed up stuff, I guess you could watch Birth of a Nation, for those of you who don't know, is in when was that? Birth of a Nation. 1915. Birth of a Nation came out in 1915. It's 3 hours long. Jesus Christ. Excuse me. And it was very racist. It, let me see if I can find it. Glorifies the KKK. The KKK are the heroes in the movie. Here they are. You know. Or are these just Confederate soldiers? At some point the KKK shows up. Might be after the war. And then we later have a... calling it racist would be
There's nothing funny
downplaying what it is. You have a series of events where there is an African-American individual who is played, of course, by a white guy in blackface, and he's basically the monster of the movie that steals a woman, and then the heroic KKK go and kill him. Yeah. It's bad. But this was like a huge film. Birth of a Nation, like, was a technical achievement, so a lot of people talk about it. I think it showed some big battle scenes, and it was one of the first movies to do so. But yeah, it's real bad. Real bad. Birth of a Nation to Boldly Flee being the same length. Riot Bunny, thank you for subscribing. And then Triumph of the Will is a Nazi propaganda movie. But again, I'm not going to watch that. Let's watch A Trip to the Moon. This is the first sci-fi movie, technically. Le Voyage dans la Lune. So you have this, you know, wizards. We have a matte painting that's, I don't even know if they called them matte paintings at the time, but, you know, all this stuff is just a painting up here, you can tell, but being projected in a, you know, 1902 projector probably hit it quite a bit.
Capitalism.
Zoe R. Hamilton, thank you for subscribing, 5-month streak. Are they supposed to be, like, women, or are they supposed to be page boys? Either way, they bring some telescopes to the wizards. I'm just gonna be a jackass and narrate. You want me to find a version with music? I can do so it's not so awkwardly quiet.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Arena's 3 with 50 bits. When the first word you hear on the stream is Nazi, you know it's going to be wild. Yeah, we're not doing the Nazi thing. Is there one that's definitely public domain? Because that's using someone else's music track, right? With original score by Air. Yeah, no, that's... Okay, we'll give this a shot. It'll be fine. If I don't get ad rev on this on YouTube, it's okay. Okay, I'm gonna skip to where we were. That jump cut where they turn the telescopes into stools. I'm sure it was cool at the time, but I'm more confused why they turned their telescopes into stools. Why would I shouldn't MST3K this. First of all, I'm not that funny. Second of all, why make fun of this? This was a technical achievement at the time. Who cares? Are they arguing about going to the moon? I don't think that was the intent, but for a second it looked like that wizard was like flipping the bird. He was like, alright, you guys go to the moon. F you guys, I'm going home. The pacing in these movies is interesting to me because I'm sure at the time people were okay with some slower, more drawn-out sequences, and I don't mean like modern films will have, you know, slow moments where you can take in just the atmosphere or stuff, but usually like something's happening, like either someone's like contemplating something or it's setting the mood. I don't know. This is just, it looks like they're all kind of meandering and just doing stuff because the fact that you're watching a movie in and of itself is entertainment enough. It's a novelty that you're seeing a movie. So kind of the meandery nature doesn't matter so much. So it's fine if it's just kind of people, okay, we're all gonna actually wait in real time while they position themselves for this like photo or whatever they're about to take. Even though in a modern movie, you'd have some cuts in there to speed things up or something. Ooh, a fade. I don't know any of the technical stuff behind, like, I don't know how do you do a fade in 1902? How do you create the effect where your shot fades into another shot? I bet that took hours and hours to do, whatever the process was. Do you just, like, expose on the same... like, do you end a shot, and maybe, like, at the end of the shot that you're going to fade out of, do you, like, lower the exposure of the camera? Like, the actual lens itself, so you're getting less light? And then you start the next, you know, shot low, and then raise it? You know what I mean? On the same piece of film? I don't know. Layering the film, like just splicing it on top of each other. I think there'd still have to be some level of, like, as you're filming it, upping and lowering it so there's that, you know, smooth fade, or at least as smooth as you can get. This is cool. So this is clearly a matte painting. So I'm assuming what they did is they just had little holes in the matte painting where the chimneys are, and then they're actually pumping something through it. Smoke or fake smoke, like a fog. I don't know if they had like something similar to a fog machine back in the day. I don't know. Could just be actual smoke they're pushing through with something. I don't know. That's pretty cool. You get like the forced perspective where this all looks very far away. It's clever. Oh, and they even have, okay, yeah. So you have an actual hole here that they cut, and then you have this, and then you have actual water, too. Clever. This is very, very clever. That's cool. Animation cells are used for pinhole transitions? Okay. When did Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon come out? I know it's the 1800s. From the Earth to the Moon.
There's nothing funny about the tools
Novel
of
by
capitalism.
Jules Verne, originally published 2009. Google, I think you might be wrong on that one. From the Earth to the Moon. Oh, and a trip around it. From the Earth to the Moon. Doo 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 doo. 1865. I haven't really read I haven't read any Jules Verne, so I'm not very familiar. Did Jules Verne's From the Earth to the Moon also involve a similar contraption to this, where it was like a cannon that shot you to the moon, or did they do something else? I think I missed a thing. KR Goss, thank you for the $5. Thanks for keeping me entertained while making so very many clothes masks for local schools. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you for the donation. Antipodian Squid with 150 bits. Jules Verne achieved immortality or time travel confirmed. The same time travel the QAnon people think makes makes them think that JFK Jr. is still alive and using a time machine. That's so good. This is so good. Look at this. I love this. Like, the design of this cannon is amazing. It's just like this huge, almost looks like it's telescopic. It's brilliant. When did Georges Méliès, I'm gonna spell this wrong. Georges, oh god. Georges Méliès. How old did he live to be? 1938. Oh man. That would have been cool if he lived to see the actual first trip to the moon. That's a shame. In fairness, in order to do that, he probably would have had to have been very, very young making this. But... oh, here comes the famous shot. The outfits are scandalous. It's from France. Oh, God. Like, it's one thing to just have it land on the moon and the moon to have a face, but also it's got, like, moon blood that's coming out of the spot where they shot. That's the cheese. Yeah, just on the moon. Don't worry about it having no atmosphere. When's the earliest people knew the moon didn't have an atmosphere? When did people know about space? And I don't mean, like, obviously people saw stars and were like, yeah, there's stuff out there. But at what point did human beings go like, oh, we're in an atmosphere, and that's not a thing that's in most places? Let me see. It's a fantasy movie, so I'm not faulting it for that. It's a movie. I'm not faulting it for anything. I'm just saying, like, when did people realize space had no air? 1700! That's embarrassingly late, humanity. When did we learn that there was no oxygen in space? The first hint that there was no air in outer space came from experiments with barometers, air pressure measuring devices in 1644. Evangelista Torricelli, who had invented a barometer, concluded that the air makes pressure because it is massive and pulled down by gravity. In 1648, Blaise Pascal, convinced, that's a name I recognize, Florin Perrier, to take a mercury barometer. Okay, so late 1600s. Cool. No air. When did people know there was no air on the moon? Because maybe at some point they thought, like, hey, well, maybe there is on the moon because it has gravity. No air by the end of the 18th century. Okay. They know it has no atmosphere, but they're too embarrassed and polite to say it. Someone send this to Hans Wormhat and see if he... I'm very curious what Hans would think about this. He'd probably make a video that's something along the lines of, well, see, in 1902, they faked a trip to the moon, and it was in a movie, and they said it was all fake. And then, look, in 1960, they just did it again. Comet, okay. I appreciate that they got shot on a cannon to the moon, and their first instinct is to take a nap. I get that. I feel that. How are they supposed to get back to Earth? Also, you didn't build a second cannon on the moon, so you're just gonna live on the moon now? You're just moon guys?
Nothing funny about the tools.
Because you're all dudes. You didn't bring any women to, like, populate the moon or anything. You're just gonna hang out on the moon with your bros? Maybe gay moon bros? That sounds pretty good. Someone make that movie. Chozo Lore, thank you for subscribing. 2-month streak. That was cute. Yes, it was. It's okay. There's moon women. Women's uterus can't handle moon stuff. At one point, when trains and trains that could go, like, 50 miles an hour or something were a thing, they were concerned that it would be dangerous to women because they thought that going at those speeds would be dangerous and their uterus might fall out of their body. People are very, very stupid. Antipodian squid with 100 bits. They present this like it could be an actual thing to just walk on the moon. Look, no spacesuits, no NASA propaganda. This is more realistic than the lies they tell us now. But I don't think how they're going to survive there since they're all trans. Han's response, probably. That's true. Have we? There's never been a woman on the moon. All dicks on the moon.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
That's a weirdly depressing thing I've never thought of before. Pseudosapien, thank you for hosting. You know, moon snow, as you do. No trans person has ever been in space. Apparently, yeah, there hasn't been, to my knowledge. Moon mushrooms in a moon cave. They're gonna murder this moon creature. Okay. Why didn't any of you wizards think to bring a gun? A moon gun. I like that the moon men are like aliens, but the moon women are just like women with stars on their faces. All wizards do is be bisexual, conjure hot, chip, and lie. I like that consistently the defense mechanism for this species is like turning into gas or something. Wait, what? Oh, okay. It's just supposed to be some other celestial body. For a second, it looked like this was trying to be a crescent moon, and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're already on the moon. No, it's just supposed to be another planet, I think. Alright, how is this gonna work? I'm very curious. How is this supposed to work? Oh god, is it just gonna fall from the moon to Earth? That doesn't make any sense. This is the moon cliff. If you fall off this moon cliff, the Earth is just below it, apparently. Oh no! This cliff is so, like, high on the moon that you can actually escape the moon's gravity by falling off it. Oh, weirdly, they got the water touchdown correct. That's interesting. I guess if you're even if you're thinking in fantasy terms, no one's been to the moon, rockets don't exist. Well, if you're gonna land back on the Earth, why wouldn't you land in the water? You can sploosh, it'll be fine. Okay, that makes sense. Plus, the Earth is mostly water anyway, so yeah. It's clearly a tank with little geckos. These are probably the first geckos, or whatever these are, ever put on film. And they will live forever on that film. Salamanders? Yeah, probably salamanders. They even have like a boat towing them back to shore. This part is weirdly accurate, how it actually ended up working. Okay. Good guess. Good guess. They're all dead now. Honestly, we're also all dead inside, so it's fine. We're all in the same boat. Am I going to stream or react to the vice presidential debates? Doubtful. I really don't think I'm going to do that. Plenty of other channels do that. The Surfs do that. Jake tends to do the debates. I get stressed out, and I can't deal with that stuff. So, plus I don't feel like I have a ton of... I don't think I have anything of substance to add to the conversation. Like, if anything interesting happens, maybe I'll comment it after the fact, the day after, but... What am I going to say? Oh, Pence is a fundamentalist weirdo who doesn't care if people die and he doesn't like gay people. And oh, Kamala Harris, cop, bad. What do you want me to say, you know? Other people more intelligent and informed than myself have better things to say. Check out the Surfs. I'm sure they'll do a thing. I'm sure Lance will do a thing. Is The Thing tonight? I think we're actually doing it Thursday this week. I could be wrong. When I talked to Jake yesterday about it, it seemed like maybe it was tomorrow. I'm not positive, though. Share a tweet, do a short animation your boyfriend did? Go for it. That's fine. What thing? Oh, we do a D&D stream over on actual Jake's channel that I'm a player in, so there's a lot of crossover between people who watch that and people who watch my thing. It's called The Thing, and that's what the emote is, because the show's called Charisma Saves, and then when anyone makes a charisma save, people say The Thing, because it's like the title of the show, too. Yeah, Hassan and Central Committee are covering it too. A lot of lefty channels are going to be covering it. I don't feel like I have anything to add that they're not already going to cover, so. Maybe 4 years from now, sure. I cannot deal with Trump and Pence. I just can't. Yay! We did a colonialism on the moon! They were literally cheering that they took one of the moon... What I'm gonna call them... one of the native Moonites. They took one of the native Moonites and put him in chains, and they were all like, yay! We did it! We colonized the moon! Hooray! Oh, that's pretty cool. Wha-cha! Karate rabbit. Wha-cha! That's pretty cool. Do. What else do we have? Let's do some either educational or propaganda movies.
What is the bearing of the laws of heredity upon human affairs? Eugenics provides the answer, so far as this is known.
Film explains the eugenics movement in the UK. It details the transition of physical and mental abilities by showing examples of notable families. The narrator Julian Huxley talks about the laws of heredity and different fertility. This documentary features several notable British families who actively participated in its creation. Though the theories are discredited today, eugenics was considered a legitimate academic discipline in the field of medicine at the time. It's from 1937. Yikerinos. Mermanda, thank you, or Mermanda, whichever. I'm not sure which you prefer. Thank you for gifting a sub.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Let's watch Reefer Madness. We could probably do Reefer Madness sometime. Enlid with 10 bits. Another movie in the public domain is the Battleship Potemkin. It was a Russian movie of the 20s and was one of the first Soviet montage-era films. Okay. Sounds like it's going to be problematic. No kidding. It is going to be. That's putting it lightly.
Eugenics seeks to apply the known laws of heredity so as to prevent the degeneration of the race and improve its inborn qualities.
An example of favorable heredity.
What is Kine Master? Video editor. Okay, so it's just someone used a free version of this program, and it has like a thing in the corner.
Pedigree of the Phelps family, members of which have been boatmen on the Thames for generations. 9 members of this family have won the race for the famous Doggett coat and badge.
Oh God. We're gonna talk about the Ubermensch.
On this diagram, the 9 winners are shown in white.
Yeah, let's decide who can have kids based on how good they are at arbitrary factors like rowing a stupid boat. Oh my God.
The present head of the family, whose father was a royal waterman, is Bosse Phelps, the king's barge master. Now no longer an active sculler himself, but still a coach for others. His son Ted is ex-world and English champion sculler, and also a royal waterman.
Why do I care how good someone can row a boat? In regard to their, like, genetics?
Ted's brother, Eric, is challenger for the English championship. And, like Ted, he shows the superb physique which has been in his family for generations. But other things besides strength and endurance run in families. Here is a man who, although normal, comes from a mentally defective family.
Oh, God. You absolute fools! Ah!
Here is his wife, who is also normal. They've had 17 children.
They've had 17 children?
Let us examine the pedigree of these children.
Oh, God. Could we not? Could we not? Could we not? Could we not?
5 of them died in infancy. 3 are still too young for an opinion to be formed of their mental state.
This is terrible!
A boy and 2 girls. Only 2 of the remaining children are normal. A man and a girl. The remaining 7 children are all mental defectives.
What the friggin' frick?
Marked on the pedigree in black. Of these, 2 live at home, a man and a crippled dwarf girl.
Oh, God! Oh, no! This is terrible!
There is 1 man in an institution and a woman with the mentality of a child. The other 3 are all girls and are all in an institution.
When they got this family to come and get filmed for this stupid propaganda piece of shit, did they say, by the way, we're going to be using you and your children as an example of the kind of people we want to wipe out from the planet? Or did they just be like, hey, we just want to film you guys? I don't know which is worse. That they're open about how shitty they're being, or if they're, like, duplicitous and they're like, we just want to film you for a movie. And then the movie, they're like, these people are the scum of the earth. We shouldn't let them breed. It's disgusting. Humanity is just effed. We're so effed.
How has this disastrous state of affairs come about? If we examine the pedigree of this family, we find that although the father and mother of the youngest generation are both normal, the father's brother was insane. Their mother was normal, but the father, the grandfather of the youngest generation, was defective, and his two brothers insane. Of their parents, the mother was normal, but the father defective. We thus see how mental deficiency has passed from one generation to another, although the parents of the latest generation are apparently normal. In institutions such as this, all over the country, mental defectives are cared for. These are children who are helpless in every way and need constant attention.
That just sounds like all children.
Once such children have been born, we must do the best we can for them, who can only be educated up to the point of normal children of 7 to 10. Not all mental deficiency is hereditary, but heredity accounts for more of the mild, feeble-minded types, such as you see in this group of men exercising in the grounds of the institution. If carefully trained, they can be taught simple routine tasks. Here are men in the workshops carpentering.
This has such strong utilitarian Nazi vibes, and I hate it.
Some of them are taught to do the bootmaking for the colony. While others make clothes for themselves and their fellows.
Lord of Patriarchy talking about me on stream again.
Once they have been born, defectives are happier and more useful in these institutions than when at large. But it would have been better by far, for them and for the rest of the community, if they had never been born. Let us turn to a happier picture of the power of heredity. Here is the pedigree of the Godfrey family, famous as bandmasters in the Brigade of Guards for 120 years. Figures in white indicate the members of the family who have revealed unusual musical ability. Here Sir Dan Godfrey, the musical director, is seen conducting. Many members of this family have musical degrees and are directors of orchestras. Let us look at one more of them at work. Here is Howard Godfrey.
This is from Germany or America? This is from the UK. This is a UK propaganda movie.
Another famous family is that of the Terrys. All the individuals drawn in light colour on this pedigree possess exceptional talents for the stage, music, and art. Dame Ellen Terry, the great actress, was one of the most outstanding members of this family.
The implication that this is genetic and not a factor because, like, their family already had a bunch of actors in it and they were wealthy and it gave them the time and opportunity to practice those crafts and the interest put in them, you know, by having other family members in those fields is maddening. It is maddening to me that assholes are like, oh, we're rich, and it's just because genetically we are superior to you plebs. Fuck you!
Here is her portrait as Lady Macbeth, which is now in the Tate Gallery. Beside it stands her daughter, Edith Craig, who is an actress and an expert in historical stage costume, and well known as a producer of stage plays and pageants. Her brother, Gordon Craig, is recognized both in England and abroad as a genius who has been a notable pioneer in modern stage design and lighting. His son, Edward Carrick, is a stage designer and artist. Now let us see some of the other well-known members of this family. Ellen Terry's brother, Fred Terry, the famous actor, married Julia Nielsen, an actress and singer. Their daughter, Phyllis Nielsen Terry, is a distinguished actress with a beautiful singing voice. Her brother, the late Dennis Nielsen Terry, had a distinguished career in the theatre, and his daughter, Hazel, is now at the beginning of her career on the films.
Nearly ready? Thank you. Quiet, please. Turn them over. Speed up.
23, take 1.
Action.
Hello. Yes. Oh, no, I've not been waiting at all. Just 1 hour, that's all. I suppose I'd better meet you then. I'll try to, but I'll most likely be late. I mean, I can't possibly help it. Oh, all right, well, I'll do my best. All right, goodbye.
Ellen Terry's elder sister, Kate, was, before her marriage, an even more distinguished actress than Dame Ellen Terry. One of her daughters is Mabel Terry Lewis, the actress, and another daughter, Kate, married Frank Gilgood, a fine amateur pianist. Of their children, Val is dramatic producer at the BBC.
Now we're all ready for the final run through. First light for the announcer in 6A, the second light in 6E for the music, and then the light in 6C for Hilkert's first speech. We'll get that? Right, stand by.
And John is perhaps our leading romantic actor.
Yes, I was there, all right. Half a mile away at the other end of a telescope. Yes, it's quite true.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
I'm
capitalism.
just one of those long-range assassins. But that doesn't make it any better, does it?
And he's not even a good actor! For the time, probably, naturalism wasn't necessarily, a thing that people were going for in 1937. But that goes to show how arbitrary the categories they're saying are. Like, look at how good an actor he is! And then, over the years, the definition of a good actor has completely changed from this, dramatic melodrama bullshit to naturalistic acting that we see today as good acting, right? None of this was genetic in the first place. But even if it was, it would be arbitrary the things that you are deciding are genetically good. Even though this is not genetics. This is entirely up to the fact that nepotism is a thing. Nepotism is a thing. If you're good in a field, you're going to help other people in your family or your friend group get into that field if that's what they want to do. People also have interests similar to what they're exposed to growing up. Someone in the chat mentioned painting and that they paint because their parent painted. Same thing here. You see your parent acting and going to acting gigs and preparing and reading scripts, and you're naturally going to be interested in that sort of thing. Not all the time, but many, many people do. Oh my god. I hate this so much. Bumble Homestead with 100 bits. This elite actor family BS puts Eccleston's comments about the field being elitist into perspective. Yeah. The BBC is still pretty nepotistic. Moffat is a good example. Moffat's mother-in-law is a high up at the BBC. It's probably why he gets I'm not going to say Moffat's an absolute garbage writer. I do enjoy a lot of Moffat's Doctor Who, even though it's, not perfect. But, I don't know if Moffat would have gotten the jobs he had gotten if he didn't have family in the BBC. Let me put it that way.
In addition, he is a pianist and a stage designer and producer. discussing human genetics, we have to take account of what we call differential fertility. In this figure, we have represented the differential rate of increase in a population where originally half the individuals were below the average in physical and mental ability and half above it, and where couples below the average have 3 children as against 2 produced by those above. In the first generation, there will be 3 below to 2 above. In the second...
They're unironically doing idiocracy, but if it was real, these fucking idiots.
4.5 below to 2 above. In the third, 6 3/4 below to 2, and in the fourth, rather over 10 to 2. The lengths of these grey and white strips represent the average of the population of each group. So you see that in a mere matter of 4 generations, individuals below the average have become more than 5 times as abundant as those above it.
How about you put money into education, because the biggest indicator of someone's intelligence is not their genetics, it's not their parents, it's their level and quality of education.
And so, if we want to
We're watching an awful eugenics film from the UK from 1937.
maintain the race at a high level, physically and mentally, everybody sound in body and mind should marry and have enough children to perpetuate their stock and carry on the race. Lastly, I would like to thank the distinguished members of the Phelps, Godfrey, Terry and Gilgood families for their invaluable help. Thanks are also due to the warden and medical staff of the institution for training mental defectives. And finally, we want particularly to thank the father and mother of the family showing mental defect for their public-spirited cooperation.
Gross. Ooh, this is interesting. Philosophy and Cats posts, the narrator of this film, Julian Huxley, was the brother of Aldous Huxley, the author of Brave New World, a story where a nightmarish dystopia in which the state uses genetic engineering to maintain a caste system in which people are born into inseparable castes and can't resist or protest, while 10 men control the entire society. I can't begin to imagine how horrible it must have been to have a eugenicist brother like Julian Huxley. 7 years after the publication of Brave New World, a cautionary tale about eugenics, Hitler and Nazi regime tried to make Julian Huxley's twisted dream a reality by exterminating social groups designated as inferior based on cultural prejudices and racial hatred. Nazis systematically killed an estimated 11 million Jewish and non-Jewish prisoners, and the basis of Julian Huxley's eugenicist logic. American soldiers died trying to liberate these people from inhuman conditions. It's beyond sad that some of these commentators on the video are on the Nazi side and have learned nothing from history. The photographs of children separated from their families and imprisoned, experimented on, tortured, or killed because they were deemed defective are haunting and stand as a lasting memory to the unthinkable evils of eugenic regimes. Let us never forget. Yeah. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting that human beings have done this to each other. Yeah, and some of the other comments were saying something that I should have pointed out, but like, the so-called mental defectives that they were saying are defective are actually like tailors and cobblers and people who are learning trades and skills, whereas the people they were putting up as exemplars of like, ooh, brilliant genetics were all like musicians and actors. And art has a valuable place in society, but it is incredibly ironic to me that you were showcasing people that you were considering lesser, providing necessary skills and labor, and the people that you were trying to show as like, oh, the pinnacle of like human superiority were people just fucking around in the arts. The arts are important, but the people that you were calling mentally defective probably have more real-world skills than those other people. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's try and do something fun, because that was real rough.
There's nothing funny about the tools of
Antipodian
capitalism.
Squid. The White Australia policy is still alive and well, we found out in our budget announcements when our right-wing government discreetly made visa blocks for people who can't speak English a thing. Oh, God. Gross.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
Thank you, Morbus Balson, for following. Welcome to the stream. Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. We're not going to watch this whole thing. It's like an hour, 11 minutes long, but we can watch a little bit. This is, oh God, this is so hard to read. Why would they do this? There are spirits everywhere. They are all around us. They have driven me from hearth and home, from the wife and child. Bad font choice. No kidding. Hard to read. This movie was I don't know if it was the first, but it's considered like the thing that made German Expressionism a popular thing. No, it's not a vampire thing. That is my fiance. How much mercury is in the makeup they're using to look that white? My God. What she and I have experienced is even stranger than what you have lived through. Let me tell you about it. And that's the framing device. The little town where I was born. Diddle-a-doo, 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 diddle-a-doo. Okay, so German Expressionism. I don't know how to describe it concisely, but once you see this, you'll know what it is. Tucker White, the annual fair, something it said. And if you're looking for a PSA, here's a classic duck and cover. Okay, I can maybe click on that in a little bit. German Expressionism has very exaggerated, like, lines and long shadows. Things are at weird angles. Surreal is how I would sort of describe it. There are better scenes to, but like this like alley, it's not realistic. It's not supposed to be realistic. Things are at like stark angles and it's all very strange. It's just supposed to give sort of an interesting vibe. It's supposed to feel like unsettling, weird, dreamlike. This guy's like a sleepwalker that the guy hypnotizes. I'm not going to watch a lot of this because there's no music and I can't deal with the dead air. I can't fill it well enough. Anyway, he hypnotizes this guy to kill people. Tim Burton is a fan. Yeah. Definitely an influence. Duck and cover.
Deedle-dum-dum, deedle-dum-dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and covered, ducked and covered.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
and you
and you
and you, duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association. Produced by Archer Productions, Incorporated. Hey, Bert, come on out and meet all these nice people, please. Oh, all right. We really can't blame you. You see, Bert is a very, very careful fellow. When there's danger, this is the way he keeps from being hurt. Sometimes it even saves his life. That's why these children are practicing to duck and cover just as you do in your school. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it, just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time. Fire is a danger. It can burn whole buildings if someone is careless. But we are ready for fires. We have a fine fire department to put out the fire, and you have fire drills in your school so you know what to do. Automobiles can be dangerous, too.
People make fun of duck and cover, understandably so. Because duck and cover, they mention atomic bombs, and people make the joke, oh, haha, being under your desk, that sure will stop you from being, eviscerated by a nuclear explosion. That's not the intent. The intent is not, hey, if you are literally at the epicenter of an atomic blast, getting under your desk will save you. If you're in a place that's being bombed by an atomic bomb, you're dead. Everyone knows this. You're not going to necessarily say that directly to a kid's face. But, the idea that if you happen to be near an atomic blast, but you're also far enough away that it's not immediate death, nonetheless, the shockwave of the explosion will still mess you up, and it'll shake things, it'll blow windows out, it'll do a bunch of stuff. So, yes, if you're a kid that's in a town that's getting hit by an atomic bomb, you're going to be crispy. That's an understatement. You're not going to be crispy. You're going to be vaporized. You are literally going to be vaporized. But if you happen to be right on the edge of where the range of the bomb is, and your school happens to be right there, being under a desk could help you, because there's still going to be a force shockwave coming off that could damage you. And on top of that, there is a level of, you don't want kids to panic. If it's 1950, 1960, and there's atomic bombs flying, you don't want all the kids running all around, freaking out, crying, because they're gonna die. So yeah, I'm sure there's also a level of, we'll make them pretend they're in more control than they really are, and that they'll be safe, and that'll calm them down so they don't die panicking. But it is also hey, if you're on the edge of an explosion, but still close enough that the shockwave could mess things up, then it makes sense to be protected. Antipodian Squid, oh, how the times have changed in America, going from bomb drills to school shooter drills. Yeah, school shooters happen, though. Atomic bombs haven't been used on a population in quite a while, since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And that was America that did it. It's one of the most horrific things America's ever done. That's saying something, so good job, America.
Sometimes cause bad accidents, but we are ready. We have safety rules that car drivers and people who are walking must obey. Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. First, you have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you are not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard.
Enlid, in some areas there are still older buildings that are labeled as fallout shelters. In my hometown, the courthouse has an underground level, and on the outside there's an old sign that says, the fallout symbol.
Or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be...
Again, this is if you're far away and not close enough to actually be affected by the actual thermonuclear explosion. The shockwave can still reach you. They're not talking about the epicenter of an atomic explosion.
Be much safer. You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so...
Okay, kids, grab your SPF 1 billion. The atomic bombs are dropping.
We have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by. In Betty's school, they are talking about the atomic bomb, too. Betty is asking her teacher, how can we tell when the atomic bomb may explode? And her teacher is explaining that there are two kinds of attack, with warning and without any warning.
Yeah, that is technically correct, isn't it? Tucker White 94, holy hell, there was a black kid in class in 1950s America. Oh my god, there is! This was shot in the North.
We think that most of the time we will be warned before the bomb explodes, so there will be time for us to get into our homes, schools, or some other safe place. Our civil defense workers and our men in uniform will do everything they can to warn us before enemy planes can bring a bomb near us. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast. Always remember, the flash of an atomic bomb can come at any time, no matter where you may be. You might be out playing at home when the warning comes. Then be sure to get into the house fast, where your parents have fixed a safe place for you to go. If you are not close to home when you hear the warning, go to the nearest safe cover. Know where you are to go, or ask an older person to help you. You know the places marked with the S sign? They're safe places to go when you hear the alarm. If there is a warning, you will hear it before the bomb explodes. But sometimes, and this is very, very important, sometimes the bomb might explode without any warning.
That's terrifying to kids! Why even tell them? Why even tell them that? That's true, but why tell them? Just so you know, kids, at any time without warning, you could be vaporized by a nuclear explosion. Don't worry, kids. I'm sure this won't mess you up. Cut to 50 years later, boomers are out of their fucking minds and voting for Trump.
Then the first thing we would know about it would be the flash. And that means duck and cover fast, wherever you are. There's no time to look around or wait. Be like Bert. When there is a flash, duck and cover, and do it fast. Here are some older boys showing what to do if the flash comes when you are not in the classroom. This is what to do if you should be in a corridor. You duck and cover tight against the wall this way. Remember to keep your face and the back of your neck covered tightly.
Like a tornado drill.
Try to fall away from windows or doors with glass in them. Then, if the glass breaks and flies through the air, it won't cut you. You might be eating your lunch when the flash comes. Duck and cover under the table. Then, if the explosion makes anything in the room fall down, it can't fall on you. Getting ready means we will all have to be able to take care of ourselves. The bomb might explode when there are no grown-ups near. Paul and Patty know this, and they're always ready to take care of themselves. Here they are on their way to school on a beautiful spring day. But no matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Paul and Patty know what to do. Paul covered the back of his head so that he wouldn't be burned, and Patty covered herself with the coat she was carrying. They knew how to duck and cover. They acted right away when the flash came. If they had been at this doorway when the bomb flashed, Paul and Patty would have ducked and covered this way, like this girl. Heavy doorways are a good place to duck and cover.
Oh, I'm terrible. I just had a thought. I just want to do a version of this in the 50s where it's like, If you see a flash and you're about to be vaporized by an atomic bomb and you're next to a wall, make a cool pose so the shadow that's left after you're vaporized leaves a cool mark for someone to find.
He will be safer, too. Here's Tony going to his Cub Scout meeting. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Atta boy, Tony. That flash means act fast. Tony knows that it helps to get through any kind of
Tony.
cover.
Now
This
maybe
wall
you'll
was
live
close
through
by,
the
so
explosion
that's where he
and you
ducked
die
and
of
covered.
terrible,
Tony
terrible
knew what to do.
complications due to radiation
Notice how he keeps from
poisoning.
moving or from getting up and running? He stays down until he is sure the danger is over. The man helping Tony is a civil defense worker. His job is to help protect us when there is danger of the atomic bomb.
Yeah, he's got a helmet. He's got a helmet. That'll stop the atomic bomb.
We must obey.
And I know, I already said, a lot of this is advice for people who happen to be within range of the shockwave, but out of the range of the actual, like, thermonuclear part. You know, the heat, the stuff that'll vaporize you immediately, or the force that'll vaporize you immediately. If you got far enough away, stuff could fall down because of the shaking caused by the bomb, but not so close that, you know, it vaporizes you instantly. That's who this is for. It's easy to make fun of this, but there is a purpose for this. They already know if you're at the epicenter of an atomic blast, you're a goner. There's no advice that'll help you. This is if you're statistically on the off chance that you are one of the people who is close enough to experience the shockwave that's dissipated enough that it won't kill you instantly. But also close, like, not far enough away that, like, you don't experience anything. It's for a very, very select few.
The civil defense worker. We must know how to duck
He's the Avatar! He had an arrow! He did!
and cover in the school bus or in any other bus or streetcar.
Tucker White 94. Also, what are the chances scammers, pedos wouldn't dress up as civil defense workers and exploit the fuck out of the situation? What? Now I'm imagining a situation where there's just a creepy pedophile and he's just got a civil defense uniform, and all of a sudden one day he hears the air siren and he goes, "All right, Eric, this is what we've been waiting for." Nuclear pedo. Tuesdays on NBC. Nuclear pedo.
Duck and cover. Don't wait. Duck away from the windows fast. The glass may break and fly through the air and cut you. Sundays, holidays, vacation time, we must be ready every day, all the time, to do the right thing if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them.
It's a good way is to get that fused to your skin if you're in the zone that it's hot.
Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. But the most important thing of all is to duck and cover yourself, especially where your clothes do not cover you. No matter where we live, in the city or the...
We're all horde people, and I'm glad I have you all. Antipodian Squid says.
The country, we must be ready all the time for the atomic bomb. Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do. Duck and cover. The next important thing to do after that is to stay covered until the danger is over.
How are you going to determine that? Tucker White 94 with 10 bits. Is it wrong that I'm more worried about the food than the idiots under the cloth?
Yes, we must all get ready now.
Glowing picnic.
So we know how to save ourselves if the atomic bomb ever explodes near us. If you do not know just what to do, ask your teacher when this film is over. Discuss what you could do in different places if a bomb explodes. Older people will help us as they always do, but there might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
Duck and cover. Duck.
Public schools of Astoria and New York, New York. If there was an atomic war, New York would definitely be a target. And everyone in the city would probably die. a horrible, painful nuclear death. Actually, I shouldn't say painful. A lot of them would be vaporized immediately. But yeah, on the fringes of the, like, bomb, you know, thing. Like, there's actually an interesting website. I think it's called, like, Nuke Map. It'll show you with different, like, nuclear bombs. Like, here's Detroit. Sure, I live in Michigan. We'll do Detroit for some reason. Enter a yield or a preset. Let's see. 19... Can I find, like, a 1950s nuclear bomb that would be a... What's the average payload of nuclear bomb? Most powerful U.S. ever weapon was 25 megatons. MK-17 was also the largest by area square foot. About 20 short tons. MK-41, 4,800 kilograms, and a 25 megaton. Let's go half that. I don't know. Let's go, you know... We'll do 12.5 megatons. We'll say it's a surface burst and then detonate. Okay. So this is the fireball radius. That's the fireball. You're going to be vaporized. Heavy blast radius. But you see, like, this area out here, a light blast radius. This is who the duck and cover is for. These people, right? These people in the orange, green, this red and orange, they're probably all screwed, okay? But these people out here, they might be okay. As long as there isn't, like, a ton of fallout, and that's going to depend on where it's detonated. I think there's more fallout if you explode the bomb above the city than on the ground. But, like, they might be okay if you duck and cover. So this is who the duck and cover thing is for. It's easy to make fun of, but, like, yeah, that's a considerable amount of people that, like, could be saved. These people are all pretty not in a great place. Hannah's on a list now. Zarbomba. We can do Zarbomba. Zarbomba, I think, is the biggest USSR bomb ever created. Holy shit! Wow, wow, wowie, wow. That's a big bomb. Wow. I'm okay, though. I'm over here. That's probably a lot of fallout, but I'm over here, so I think I'm okay. But yeah, deploying the Zarbomba in the heart of Detroit and your windows in Flint are gonna bust. That's horrifying. My God. Look at that. Type fusion fission makes a difference too. Is there, wait, where's the option for that? Air burst. Oh, I was doing air burst. What about surface? Okay. So it's like less if you do it on the ground. Radioactive fallout. So this zone. Let's say I want to see if the fallout would kill me. Casualties. Detonate. Oh, God. Nuclear bombs are scary. It could blow all the water out of Lake Michigan. That's some scary stuff right there. In fairness, though, that's one of the biggest nuclear bombs ever made. That we know of, I should say. Ooh, the largest current French warhead. Oh no, they got even bigger ones now. North Korean weapon tested in 2006. Oh, that's way less. Oh, it's just tons, not megatons. That would be why. Oh, That's not, okay. It's not good, but you know. That's like one of the biggest nuclear bombs ever made. And it only hits that. I mean, I don't mean to I don't mean to minimize. But like, alright. United States could survive that. And then a bunch of little small ones everywhere else. I don't know. Nukes are scary. Can we just decide as a species, nukes bad? Nukes bad. Let's pull a Superman 4, okay? Let's throw all the nukes into the sun. Only thing scarier is a orbital kinetic weapon. Sorry, I'm reading something real quick. It was about the Lord of Patriarchy covering a video of me again, which I probably won't do for my own mental health's sake. Yeah, I've heard about the kinetic weapon thing where if you can like drop a like a tungsten or I don't remember what the exact material was. Rod from space, the concussive blast would like be akin to a nuclear bomb but without the fallout, which also sounds horrifying. Can you imagine like the let's say it's we're 300 years from now and space travel, it might not even be like, let's say it's relatively common. It's as common. We've beat global warming somehow. I don't know how. Scientists develop a thing and it scrubs carbon from the atmosphere effectively. Yay, humanity lives to live another day. Hooray. Global warming isn't a thing. Humanity has continued on. They still have their problems, but on the whole, you know, whatever. You know, humanity goes on, just with different conflicts. And space travel, at least like orbital space travel, not necessarily like going to the moon, but going into space, maybe going around the Earth to be faster, because it's in a vacuum and you can travel very fast in a vacuum, and then landing back on Earth. Orbital space flight is as common as commercial space, or commercial flights are today, just with normal airplanes. Let's say some future terrorist in 300 years hijacks a space plane and uses it to drop something from the atmosphere. Oh god, horrifying. In The Expanse, terrorists hit Earth with 5 asteroids. Yeah, kind of Starship Troopers-y. Although in fairness, in Starship Troopers, it's implied it might be a false flag attack, but space plane, yeah. Do you see Tom Cruise is going to space? Tom Cruise in space! Enlid with 10 bits. You know, on paper, Superman 4 sounds alright. With the Cold War still going on, Superman has decided if he should intervene on not being an alien, and ultimately chooses to, by disposing nuclear weapons, then those nuclear weapons are used to create a being who can fight off Superman. On paper, not bad. It's complicated. It's very, very complicated. On the whole, I agree. I think getting rid of nuclear weapons would be a positive thing. But then you lose mutually assured destruction. So I don't know. What would a land war a conventional war between the US and Russia have been like in the 1950s and 60s? A lot of people would have died. But humanity wouldn't have died. So, I don't know. Gonna have to talk to someone who knows about game theory to have a discussion about that. Tom Cruise, with the help of our Lord and Savior, Elon Musk, is going to shoot a movie in the International Space Station, which I'm sure won't be annoying for the scientists there at all. And I'm sure that that'll be completely fine. I'm very excited for this, honestly. I don't like Elon Musk, but I'm fine with SpaceX. I like space travel. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a great thing for humans to, like, work on. And I see how this teaming up with NASA to shoot a movie on the International Space Station, that's good outreach. It's like a cool thing for people to go into the theater and be like, oh, wow, they shot this at the International Space Station. That's amazing. This movie was made in space. Space is a cool thing. But also, the flat earthers are gonna lose their minds, and I am very excited. I'm so excited for that. That's gonna be so much content. Maybe they'll throw them out of the airlock. This channel is a bunch of parodies of old educational films. Okay. There's one imposter on the ISS. The ISS also has a really bad air leak, so that might not happen. Oh, I'd imagine they'll fix it by then. This isn't supposed to shoot for another 2 years, I think, or something like that. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. But I do feel like if you're a researcher on the ISS and you're doing experiments, how annoying is this that your boss is like, it's probably two minds. On the one hand, you're going to have people shooting a movie at the ISS. That's probably cool as a scientist and as an astronaut to be like, oh, wow, they're shooting a movie here. But also, like, I'm trying to do experiments and trying to do my job on the ISS, and you're spending, you know, all your time in an area that I really need in order to do my job. I don't know. Russia copied SpaceX's Falcon. Fine. I don't care. Honestly, I wish there was more, like, international cooperation. If Russia steals the designs for a SpaceX rocket and it can use them or improve upon them using their own technology, great. I don't care. I'm all for international cooperation, even if it is involuntary. I do not care in terms of space travel. If China stole the designs to a NASA rocket and invented their own rocket, awesome. I do not care. I do not care about my particular country, like, having, you know, a monopoly on space travel. In fact, I think that would be a bad thing. I think it would also be a bad thing for China to have a monopoly on it. My point is, I think space is not something any one nation should dominate. Let's just try and work together on ways to get, you know, out there. I don't know. One world government. One world government. Yeah. Yeah. Bacteria, friend and foe. Encyclopedia. I said Encyclopedia Dramatica because I'm so used to reading about Chris Chan. Encyclopedia Britannica films. This is not a movie about Chris Chan.
Ted Jones is visiting one of the laboratories at the City Health Department.
So we got a guy looking in a microscope.
Has recently
Why can't I hear it? Can you guys hear this? Why can't I hear it? There's like subtitles, but I can't actually hear the thing.
In a position as a
oh, it's in the other ear?
With the department.
Ah.
Ted seems to be
it's
having
mono audio. How lovely.
Little trouble.
Can't you get it focused on the field, Ted? Try using the fine adjustment knob. And do it more slowly. You're likely to miss the cells you're looking for, even though they may be there.
Okay, I'm trying. Say, here they are.
Have I seen the USSR space shuttles? Apparently they made them, then abandoned them, and they just sit rotting in a warehouse. I mean, look. Oof. That's creepy. That's very creepy. It also sucks. I'm not an expert in anything, so I know a little about a lot. I have a knowledge base that's quite long but very shallow. So from what I've heard about the shuttle program, so many different entities in the government had different things they wanted them to be able to do in terms of, like, obviously, you know, science divisions in NASA, but you also had the military wanting very specific things in the space shuttle, like, to the point that it became a clusterfuck and they never really worked well for anything. So the shuttle program was seen as not very successful just because it was trying to be sort of a jack of all trades and it ended up being a master of none, and it didn't help very much in terms of our advancement of space travel, so I don't know.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
Koya Tree, thank you for following. It's a shame, too, because, like, the idea of having a vessel going to space that you can, like, take off and land, like, or at least land, you couldn't take off, you know, from a runway, they still had to use a rocket, but, like, landing it like a plane, that's pretty cool, and that's pretty convenient for a number of reasons, but if it's not helping the efficacy and budget of the project, then I understand how it makes more sense to go back to what, like, SpaceX is doing in terms of water landings. Alright, I don't want to watch this because it's mono audio. This is a Max Fleischer Superman movie. Superman movie from 1943.
Faster than a streak of lightning, more powerful than the pounding surf, mightier than a roaring hurricane. This amazing stranger from the planet Krypton.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Superman! Possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice, disguised as a mild-mannered...
Tucker White 94. We've actually watched the Boys Beware thing before, so we probably won't watch it again. But yeah, this is a really gross PSA that conflates pedophilia with homosexuality. It's super gross. If you haven't seen this, there's a link in chat. But we watched it in a previous stream.
Newspaper reporter Clark Kent.
And while on a hunting trip, my father discovered what are now known as the Henderson Caverns.
I'm assuming, I'm not very familiar with the Fleischer animations. It looks rotoscoped. Is this like super rotoscoped? Because the animation looks too fluid to only be hand-drawn.
40 years ago, he mysteriously disappeared while exploring them further. Recently, I found these maps and charts he left.
Rotoscoping, for those who don't know, is the process of tracing basically on top of live-action footage. Snow White used this to an extent because they couldn't get the motions of Snow White to be natural enough. So they literally had an actress, you know, dress up in a Snow White outfit and act out some of the scenes, and then the animators just traced over it frame by frame.
Suggesting that still greater wonders and mysteries lay beyond in this vast underground world.
There's nothing wrong with rotoscoping, by the way. Some people, I think, consider it a bad thing. But, like, hey, if it works for what you're doing, I get it. It's not like they're just stealing someone else's footage and tracing over it. They're shooting film themselves and then animating over it, and I think that's fine.
Now, if your paper will help finance the expedition, I will take Miss Lane and Mr. Kent with me and guarantee the Daily Planet exclusive rights to the story.
Sounds like a great story, Chief.
I'd love to go.
Well, let me see.
All right, it's a deal.
Thanks, Mr. White.
That's my take on Vosh. I'm not super familiar with Vosh. I've watched some of Vosh's stuff before. Obviously not on stream, because Vosh was banned from Twitch. But yeah, I have seen it in my private time, and I mean, he's entertaining, but I've heard there's some sketchy stuff in his private life, which, depending on what it is, isn't necessarily a deal breaker in being able to listen to them, but I don't really know what it is that happened that people don't like about him.
White, we can...
So my opinion would be I don't know enough to have a strong opinion either way.
Leave immediately.
But I have enjoyed in the past Vosh arguing with literal, like, neo-Nazis and stuff. That was fun. rotoscope infographic. Okay, we can take a look at that. That's cool. It's basically a thing explaining how rotoscoping works. It looks like is this a patent from back in the day? Yeah, it's a patent where basically the projector would project it onto this thing, and then he could trace it. That's very cool. I guess I never really thought about the apparatus necessary to do the rotoscoping itself. Because I guess in my head, I'm stupid, and it's 2020, so in my head, when I think, oh, they're tracing over footage, I'm seeing them, you know, with some sort of, like, tablet computer with a piece of paper over it. But of course you can't do that. It's, you know, it's 1917. You can't do that. So yeah, you would have to project onto something like that. Interesting. Betty Boop did it. Cool, yeah.
Careful now. Those are explosives for the blasting we'll have to do. We're shoving off, Kent. Meet you in the Blue Grotto.
So long, Clark.
See you later, Lois.
Lois Lane looks a lot like Snow White. Like in her design, with like the hair that sort of is very, very, it's kind of got like bulbs almost. It's, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's almost spherical in its shape. There's supposed to be charisma saves today. I think we're doing it tomorrow, because I think Jake's is the debate tonight, the vice presidential debate. Jake might be doing that. Yeah, that's tonight. So Jake might be doing that. I think we're doing charisma saves tomorrow. I could be wrong though. If you get like a Discord announcement from the charisma saves Discord, then you'll know for sure. But I thought Jake said tomorrow.
It's beautiful.
According to the map, this next grotto is the furthest any man has ever been.
Is that to be our side?
That's right.
Wow, you guys suck.
The dynamite.
It's like a bird guy. What? Superman's arch enemy, bird guy.
Look at the statue above his head. Why, the resemblance is remarkable. Is that...
Yes, my father. But what would they be doing with a statue of him?
And the sun, and the sun, and the sun. Lois! Lois!
Age Soups is OP as F. Yeah, this might be even pre that, though. Like, I don't think Superman in the Golden Age started to get super duper OP until, like, the late 40s to the 50s, when he started just being able to do literally anything. This is still early enough on where he might just be really, really strong, pretty darn indestructible, and he can fly, and laser eyes. Whereas later he just got crazy, crazy stuff going on.
This is a job for Superman.
Where's he carrying around his cape? It didn't look like he had a bag, did it? Because he clearly put it on. Oops, muted. What? Bronze Age? Bronze Age is like the 90s, isn't it? Golden Age is like the 30s, 40s, and 50s. The Silver Age is like the 60s and 70s. And then the Bronze Age is like 80s, 90s, and I don't know what we call modern comics. Which I find hilarious, by the way, that we labeled the 30s and 40s as the Golden Age of comics. I understand why, but that's some hardcore nostalgia goggles if you haven't read any Superman from then. Or Batman. I have a collection of like early Batman from like the 30s and stuff, and it's not good. It's not good. Ages of comic books. That's not gonna pull up what I want. Eras of comic books. OCP, thank you for subscribing. Hey Hannah, thanks for the help while studying my first midterms tomorrow. I hope they go well. Tiger White 94, what you don't keep clothes behind boulders inside caverns? Unfortunately, no. Yeah, Golden Age, 1938 to 1950, Silver Age 56 to 70, Bronze Age 70s to 85, and Modern Age 85 to present. So I was even a little wrong on it, but like, yeah. He couldn't fly during the early parts of the Golden Age, but by, like, the Silver Age and Bronze Age, Superman could definitely fly. When did Superman get the ability to fly? It was relatively early on in the Golden Age. When did... Because originally it was just he could leap, you know, he's faster than a speeding bullet. He can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He used to just be able to jump really far, and then eventually he could fly. When did Superman get to fly? Superman officially first flew in a comic in Action Comics number 65 in 1943. So in the middle of the Golden Age. Which is actually the same year this happened. Superman was basically a more human-sized Hulk, in the sense that he would leap around, yeah. Jumping really far is basically flying if you have a hang glider. Kite Man. Fuck yeah. I feel like maybe I'm misremembering this, but wasn't the first time Superman flew outside of the comics also in the Fleischer animated because they found it easier to animate him flying than they did him jumping, and then the comic books like adapted that, or am I wrong? Tiger White 94, total aside, I'd kill to see a fight between Superman and Goku. Oh god, that's not fun. Why would you want to see that? Goku, how do you even track the power between Goku and Superman? Because Goku is in an anime that's all about power creep, you know? Like, it's very convenient that all the villains show up in the exact order they do, because if, like, the cat god from the more recent Dragon Ball stuff showed up when Goku was, like, a kid with a tail still, everyone would have been screwed. I don't know. I don't feel like the power sets are compatible in terms of fighting each other. Yeah, Golden Age Superman definitely also had power creep. It's more in check in modern Superman, though.
It's really a great story, Lois. But no one would ever believe it.
What? Well, we better burn this thing we took the time to type out on our old-timey typewriters. Because no one will believe bird people even though Superman exists. Alright. If you say so, Clark. Look at that space station.
The trimetric delineator indicates the object's in a phase-out orbit. It's on a trajectory and converging on our course.
Emergency quarters, emergency quarters. All personnel report to emergency stations immediately. Emergency quarters, emergency.
I like how 1960s space stuff and 1950s space stuff to an extent too. Star Trek is a good example of this, but this also seems to have this like idea that space travel is a lot like submarine travel. So they take a lot of the design elements from like World War II era submarines and they just apply them to a spaceship. I like that as an idea because it makes sense.
Quarters, all personnel report to emergency stations immediately. Generators ready, sir. Another one of those communication satellites, Captain, a 1960-70 type.
It's closing fast, sir, range 500, and directly in our orbit pattern.
Activate horizontal number 3, 25 degrees. Stand by vertical control jets. Standing by. Activate vertical control, 4-second thrust. Correct horizontal tilt. Lieutenant Ingstrom, contact ESAR at base. Tell them that another of those 30-year-old derelicts has shown up. It's a definite hazard. And give them my new orbital pattern.
Yes, sir.
I'll never understand why there's so much junk up here in those early space years. Secure from quarters, Major. Secure from emergency quarters. All personnel secure from quarters.
They're really proud of this because they're showing this like on camera very, very often. They really don't have to, but they're like, yeah, we nailed this model.
Lunar Base 2 can be built in half the time it took for the first, and for half the cost. General, the discovery of these ice caves opens up an entirely new area of thought. With water, we can produce our own construction materials right on the site. The savings in transporting raw materials will be tremendous. Yes?
What year is this supposed to take place in? Please say a year, and please say it's like 1995 or something.
If we can convert that ice to water. It may not be that simple. Captain Stevens, have we heard from Lunar Base yet?
Not yet, sir. We're still trying.
We should be able to incorporate solar power reflectors.
Dr. White 94, it's a shame we never really see this kind of bleep, bloop, bleep, bloop sci-fi schlock anymore. These are almost always fun to watch. You
The
know.
heat they can produce will certainly melt ice. Yes, I know. I wasn't thinking of that. It's a human element that concerns me. Tell me, when will we know about those soil samples from the Mare Imbrium area? In about a week. The geologists are studying every possibility. So far, no sign of ore deposit.
General Nolan,
Are they gonna mine the moon?
communications is receiving from
Guys, we need the moon. Don't mine the moon.
probe ship number 5 at the lunar excavation. Major Towers is standing by.
Right on schedule. Now we'll find something about those ice caves. All right, Captain, put them on my confidential channel. Tower.
That's the phone. That's the phone he has in his office. It's a big thing like that for some reason.
This is Nolan. Are you reading me? I read you, General.
Oh, it's like a radio. Is it like a deep space? Not even deep space. Is it just like a space radio?
How's the weather down there? It's beautiful. What did you find in those ice caves? Did you get me any samples? I've got a check of everything I can see. I'm even bringing you a cake of moon ice. Good work, Major. Stand by. We'll program you and return flight plan R350. You'll have layover on the space station. The transport ship isn't scheduled to leave Earth until next week. You won't mind that slight delay, will you, Towers? Mind, General? I planned it that way. All right. Have a good trip, and don't lose those samples. Over. See you next week, General. Over and out. Colonel, I'd give 10 years of my life to be out there with those boys. It's your own fault. You set the age limit. I know, but I'd still like to be out there.
A match cut? Nah, lame.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
There's a siren going off in the background. I think I need to duck and cover. How long till he loses these samples? 2 minutes is my guess. You guys hear that siren? Is there like a tornado warning that I need to worry about? Let me Google it.
Switch to automatic pilot. Flight plan R350.
Flight plan R350. Check. Automatic pilot on.
It's just
Cabin
a
pressure.
test. Okay. Did you Google it? Because I Googled it and I didn't find any actual warnings, but I also didn't see it saying it was a test.
Okay. Oxygen and ventilation? Okay.
Fuel consumption normal. Radio and radar on.
Well, we're on our way home, Don, without a hitch. I told you there was nothing to it. Just sit back and let the electronic skipper sail you safely through the hazardous seas of star-studded space.
Sure. Sure, nothing to it.
You'll get used to it. The first trip out is the only rough one. After that, it's like cruising down a freeway in a wrong lane blindfolded.
Tell me something, Major. What did you mean when you told General Nolan that you planned it that way? The layover on the space station, I mean. What's so special about it?
It's not what, Weber. It's who.
Who? Okay, who?
You've heard of heavenly bodies, haven't you? Well, kid, in about 8 hours, you're going to see a real, live, living one. You'll probably put in for an immediate transfer for a tour of duty on the space station. But don't. You'll be too late.
In 1 more month, she'll be transferred back to Earth and into the arms of her Prince Charming. And happiness ever after.
You don't mean Lieutenant Ingstrom, that great big beautiful blonde with a binary brain?
That's right. I do not mean Lieutenant Connie Ingstrom. I mean Faith Montaigne.
The civilian biochemist? I didn't know she was out here. Is she supposed to really be something?
You can take my word for it. It's no supposition. It's a fact. Rover 5. Stand by to remove cargo, Lieutenant.
I'm already bored by this one. I'm sorry, guys.
Sure hope they get him without a fight. Have you played with Rule?
That would be the ADD, probably. Oh, Antipodian Squid with 1,000 bits. As much as I want to stay fam, I have to stop procrastinating and go write an essay on femme fatales. Have fun, the joys of old cinema, and you are all valid. Have a good night, Hannah, and stay away from the debate. Thanks, Antipodian Squid. Hope your paper goes well. If only Twilight Zone was public domain. It's okay, we just gotta be streaming still in 40 years, and then we'll be good.
In 1937, Hiroshi Saito, former Japanese ambassador to the United States, speaking of his country's aims in China, said,
Japan is not bent upon conquest and has no desire to detach or annex any part of China.
Whoopsie.
What our government and people want is peace and security in the Far East. We seek the cooperation of the Chinese, not their territory.
This is how Japan's armies interpreted her ambassador's words. On December 7th, 1941, while another Japanese ambassador talked in Washington, Nipponese airmen made ready for their coming attack. At the very moment that smiling Ambassador Nomura and Special Envoy Kurusu expressed their hopes for peace, Japanese planes were on their way to Pearl Harbor with a very different message. The United States battleship Arizona, struck by Japanese bombs, became a roaring furnace. In approved Axis style, Japan unleashed a blitzkrieg, and war encircled the globe. There should have been neither consternation nor surprise when Japan attacked in the Pacific, for the world has seldom known a nation so consistently predatory.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
In 1895, Japan invaded and took over nearby Formosa. Then in 1905, she fought Russia, adding Kwantung and the...
I always find the discussion of Pearl Harbor interesting, and I get it. Pearl Harbor sucked. war sucks. That was bad. You shouldn't bomb people. But the retaliation the United States had against Pearl Harbor was... what's the word? Disproportionate. Like, Pearl Harbor was a military target that the Japanese were like, hey, we want to take out the Americans' ability to, you know, go into the Pacific Theater and do war. So they attacked warships. And then America was like, uh-oh, bro. Time to destroy 2 populated cities full of civilians. That was an epic gamer moment. I don't know. War bad.
Good midnight, and you may feel yourself changing from the gentle person you are to a monster with dark green blood running through its veins. Or you may...
Nope, not gonna risk that. Not gonna do Nazi propaganda films, even though I'd argue it's educational and interesting. Not worth. One of the reasons we dropped the bomb was to scare Russia, basically. Yeah, that's worse. That's worse.
There's nothing funny.
We're gonna kill not countless individuals. We know how many people were killed in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're gonna kill a bunch of civilians to scare an enemy. That's so much worse. That's so much worse. Spa on lunchroom. Oh, Mr. Bungle didn't. I feel like someone did a riff of this. It was riff tracks or something.
Just before lunch one day, a puppet show was put on at school. It was called Mr. Bungle Goes to Lunch. It was fun to watch. In the puppet show, Mr. Bungle came to the boys' room on his way to lunch. He looked at his hands. His hands were dirty, and his hair was messy.
I refuse to believe children have ever enjoyed puppet shows. The Muppets are the one exception.
But Mr. Bungle didn't stop to watch.
This kind of puppet show is creepy. It's not funny. I don't like it.
Wash his hands or comb his hair. He went right to lunch. Then, instead of getting into line at the lunchroom, Mr. Bungle pushed everyone aside and went right to the front. Even though this made the children laugh, no one thought that was a fair thing to do. Then, in the lunchroom, Mr. Bungle was so clumsy and impolite that he knocked over everything, and no one wanted to sit next to him. And when he finally knocked his own tray off the table, that was the end of the puppet show. The children knew that even though Mr. Bungle was funny to watch, he wouldn't be much fun to eat with. Phil knew that a Mr. Bungle wouldn't have many friends. He wouldn't want to be like Mr. Bungle. Later, Miss Brown said it was time for the children who ate in the cafeteria to go to lunch. She hoped there weren't any Mr. Bungles in this room.
Are there children who don't eat in the cafeteria? Like, even when you bring food from home, usually you eat in the cafeteria.
Phil stopped to return a book to Miss Brown while his friends went on to the lunchroom. He would have to catch up with them later. On his way to catch up with his friends, Phil almost walked past the boys' room, but he stopped and thought. Were his hands clean? No, they were a little dirty. Phil remembered that Mr. Bungle didn't wash his hands. Mr. Bungle's hair was messy, too. Phil didn't want to be like Mr. Bungle. Inside the boys'
Your hair's probably fine, Phil.
room,
It's
Phil
fine.
was
Look how
surprised to
short
see
it
some of his
is.
friends
How are you gonna have
washing their
messy
hands,
hair?
too. Phil washed his hands well, with lots of soap.
That's a lot of soap. I mean, that's a lot of waste. I feel like you probably could have done, like, 2/3 that much soap and you would have been good.
Then he rinsed the soap off. Phil dried his hands well, too. When he was finished, he threw the paper towel in the basket where it belonged. And then he made sure that his hair looked neat. Now, Phil and his friends were ready for lunch. There was a line of children waiting to get into the lunchroom when Phil got there. He saw some boys he knew at the front of the line. They waved for him to go up to the front with them.
That kid looks almost like a
But
baby
Phil
Kurt
didn't
Russell.
want to break into line as Mr. Bungle.
It's hard to tell because there's so much, like, artifacting on this video, but his face looked like baby Kurt Russell.
Bungle did. So Phil went to the end. That was the fair thing to do. He would see his other friends inside the lunchroom. The line moved very fast, and soon Phil was inside. First, he picked up his tray. Then he got his silverware. He put his knife, fork, and spoon neatly on the tray. And then he slid his tray along. He always enjoyed looking at the good food in the cafeteria. It tasted good and was good for him, too. Instead of having a sandwich today...
Look at this kid. Does he not look like baby Kurt Russell? Look at this kid's face. Am I crazy? The anti-drug propaganda is the best stuff, also incredibly white, and I don't mean the weird... And I don't just mean the weird filter on it.
Okay, Phil decided to take the hot lunch. Phil took some bread and butter, too. And he knew what else he wanted. Milk. But Alice took the last carton on the tray.
Oh, Alice, you bitch.
Maybe there was more milk. So he said, "May I please have some milk?" Phil remembered to say, "May I?" and "please." That was very polite. Yes, there was more milk.
Who, Kurt Russell, the MF from Glee? No, Kurt Russell. Let me get younger him, though. Okay, that's slightly younger. Kurt Russell. He's the computer who wore tennis shoes. And the world's strongest man. And he's Star-Lord's dad.
Phil remembered to say thank you when he took the carton of milk. Phil had good manners. He didn't want to be like Mr. Bungle in the lunchroom. Phil didn't want to forget his dessert. The cake looked delicious.
Oh my god! Okay. First of all, they have both fries and what looks to be mashed potatoes. That's too many starches. And then I don't know what the heck this thing is. Is it just like a piece of no, it's just bread. It's buttered bread, and then we have milk, and then we have the world's largest piece of cake. That's so bad! Michelle Obama has entered the chat.
At the end of the line, the lunchroom supervisor said she had noticed how polite Phil was, and she smiled at him. She wouldn't smile at a Mr. Bungle. Phil went to the table where his friends were. He put his tray...
Look at that! What the heck? Mashed potatoes, French fries, buttered bread, milk, and a giant piece of cake. That is terrible. What?
Lay down carefully, pulled out his chair quietly, and sat down. He knew his friends wouldn't like a noisy Mr. Bungle at their table. There was someone Phil liked, Freddie. He always brought his lunch from home. It looked good. Freddie had a sandwich, an apple, a cookie, and milk. Before Phil began to eat, he always put a napkin on his lap. So did Freddie. Everyone liked Freddie. He was very polite. For example, if he had food in his mouth when someone talked to him, he always took time to chew the food with his mouth closed and swallow before he answered. Phil noticed how straight and tall Freddie usually sat. Freddie kept his feet on the floor, too. Phil would rather be like Freddie than like Mr. Bungle.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Scribe Spyrare with 100 bits. Hey, Hannah, I got sent on break early at work because some Trump-supporter lady stopped me in the parking lot and yelled at me for 20 minutes. Thank God she didn't realize I'm trans, but it was still very upsetting. This nonsense stream is just what I needed to chill, so thanks. That sucks. I'm sorry that happened.
Another polite person everyone liked was Alice. For example, when Alice sneezed, she covered her mouth and nose. This protected her friends at the table from any germs.
I feel like those kids are old enough to know not to sneeze directly into other people's faces. Do they really need to learn this?
While Phil and his friends ate, a boy ran past their table. You shouldn't run in the lunchroom. Only Mr. Bungle would do that. Phil and his friends wouldn't like to have a Mr. Bungle at their table. Then lunchtime wouldn't be as much fun as it is. Phil ate slowly and enjoyed his lunch. Finally, he had eaten everything except his dessert. He saved his cake for last. Only a Mr. Bungle would eat his dessert before he'd finished the rest of his lunch. And Phil wasn't a Mr. Bungle. The cake was good. Phil drank his milk carefully. Some children are messy when they drink milk, but not Phil. As each of Phil's friends finished, they didn't leave the table, but waited for all the others to finish eating too. Phil was the last one done. He wiped his mouth and hands carefully with his napkin. Then he cleaned the table where he sat. He didn't want to leave his place at the...
Why do these kids have cake with lunch? When I was in high school, we had 3 lunch lines at my school. We had one lunch line that alternated between pizzas every other day of the week, and the other days of the week it had like burgers or chicken sandwiches. So it went for pizza, chicken sandwich, burger, back and forth. And then the other lunch line was a different thing every day. And then we had a middle lunch line that was like extra stuff you could get if you wanted. So like chips, sodas, they had cake, and they had other stuff. So like there are schools that do sell cake, but like in elementary we didn't have that.
The table dirty. Everyone at the table cleaned his own place well. But look at that table. It was left very messy. Phil thought a Mr. Bungle must have sat there.
I went to a well-funded school, though, so...
But Phil didn't want to be like Mr. Bungle, so he put his chair neatly into place. And his table looked fine. Not a piece of paper or scrap of food was left on it. No, Mr. Bungle sat here. Phil's friends were careful to put their waste papers and empty milk cartons where they belonged. In this way, they helped keep the lunchroom clean.
Are they recycling the milk cartons?
Phil was certain
it's good to
that Mr.
recycle it.
Bungle
just doesn't
wouldn't
strike
put
me
his
as something
paper
that
in the waste
they would have
basket
been doing in
and
the
his empty
50s.
carton on the milk tray. Mr. Bungle probably wouldn't bother to put his lunch tray in the right place either. But Phil and his
The
friends
children
did.
infected by Mr. Bungle were sent to the gulag.
Lunch was good today. And then Miss Brown told Phil and his friends how proud she was of them. They had left their table the neatest in the lunchroom. No one here was a Mr. Bungle, and no one wanted to be.
Tools of capitalism.
Dead Biomass with 100 bits. Hey, Hannah, just wanted to thank you for the years of awesome content you and Jake have given me. Thank you specifically for being you and putting up with us heathens. Lots of love. Well, thank you for being a viewer. It's appreciated. The content means nothing if you guys don't watch it, so I appreciate it.
Are you like Mr. Bungle?
Kitty Cat Kimmy, thank you for following.
Mr. Bungle is a shame because he spoils lunchtime.
Mr. Bungle.
Don't be like Mr. Bungle.
Fucking bitch.
Have good lunchtime manners, and lunch will be more fun for everyone.
This is a film that is the 1999 House of Tomorrow. This was not made in 1999. Oh, God, no. Look at that. There's music, though. Do I want to do this? Because it's going to get dinged. That sucks. Because it actually, out of all the, like, retro futurism movies I've seen from, like, the 60s or whatever, they're like, this is what the future will be like. This one's the most accurate. This one's actually really, really close. I won't play the video because I don't want to get dinged for the music. But, like, they go home, and the dad basically uses a computer for his work and his home. They have a big screen TV on the wall. The kid does, like, tests and schooling on the computer. Like, their home computer looks almost exactly like early computers for the home looked like. It's, like, really, really close. They show him getting entertainment on the computer. They do shopping online at some point in this, too. And, like, they pretty much get it. It's not perfect, but they're like, oh, yeah, you go up to the computer, and they'll show you a bunch of pictures of the stuff you want to buy, and then you buy it. It's basically Amazon. Like, it's a little clunky in that, like, I think they just show it back to back like a slideshow, but, like, you get it. See the picture of the thing and you can order it. They're using, like, a camera to watch their kids. He's paying bills online. Just in terms of, like, they have, like, a keyboard. They have a home gym. In terms of, like, no one's ever going to be 100% spot on in terms of predicting the future, but this one's pretty darn close. Video chatting with someone. He's got multiple monitors, too, which, like, who would think you'd have multiple monitors? But people do. Jake does. Playing chess online with someone. They have, like, a dinner party, and they put entertainment on the TV, which, yeah, if you have people over, you might play some music or something on the TV if you're just hanging out. Wildly accurate, all things considered. Promo from the mid-1950s. This is a different House of Tomorrow thing.
I'm Betty Furness. In all my years with Westinghouse, I've covered some pretty interesting
Okay,
stories.
we are doing D&D tonight then. I guess it's at 8. Oh, shoot. I gotta finish this up soon.
But here is truly the most wonderful and exciting thing I've ever had the chance to talk about. It's the Westinghouse Total Electric Home. A home where electricity does everything. Heats, cools, illuminates, launders, preserves and prepares foods, entertains. It even lights a path to the front door with rayescent strip lighting. As visitors approach, more lights go on automatically to say a cheery welcome. Then, when they arrive at the door, a television camera takes their picture to tell the hostess her guests have arrived.
Yeah, that's a thing. Nest doorbells and stuff, you can do that.
When you step inside the total electric home, you step into an entirely new concept in living, organized around electric centers, such as this entertainment center. Electric heating and cooling keep the home constantly and automatically at the most livable temperatures all year round, and keep it clean and healthful too. Sterile lamps kill airborne bacteria, while electrostatic filters remove pollen and dust. The pride and joy of the man of the house is the weather control center, a center that puts you in charge of the electric heating and air conditioning
A thermostat?
and the electronic air filtering
The word you're thinking of
the
is
entire
thermostat.
house. If you like, the temperature
even on
of each
there.
room in the
What do you
total
mean
electric
weather
home
control?
can be set individually. And for the amateur weatherman, the control center reports outside wind velocity and direction.
Why? Why would I care?
Outside temperature and humidity, and barometric pressure. In the winter, the press of a button de-ices the front walk and driveway. In summer, an automatic control starts the lawn sprinklers when the ground gets thirsty. Another beautiful and practical electrical center in the total electric home is the laundry and home planning center. With individual hampers, your clothes are sorted by type. Directly opposite, to save you steps, are the real geniuses of this very last word in home laundries. All you do is load the clothes in this new Westinghouse 1000 laundromat and electric clothes dryer. The remarkable program computer selects and carries out the perfect washing and drying program for every fabric.
That's a washing
at the
machine.
touch of a button. It's the first home.
Tucker White 94, for the low price of whatever this place costs, you too can slowly develop cancer from this asbestos-filled house of tomorrow.
Laundry that can think. Over here is the combination open fireplace and electric barbecue. By touching an electric starter, the host can get the charcoal going and demonstrate his cooking skill.
Having a charcoal grill in your house sounds awful.
And whenever the family just wants to enjoy a cozy fire, all he has to do is throw on the logs and push a button to automatically lower a protective screen. Cooking is really a joy in the food preparation center. Here you have a refrigerator that looks like fine furniture.
Oh, that's so
For
ugly.
convenience,
Why would you want that?
the upper unit of the refrigerator opens from both sides, and below are handy, spacious refrigerator and freezer drawers. Then, too, there's the miraculous electronic oven that will cook these appetizers in 6 seconds. Appetizers that were prepared from recipes kept in this microfilm file. Thousands of recipes are on file
Microfilm.
here,
That's
and
where
simply
it's
by
at,
pressing a
folks.
couple of buttons, the recipe of your choice appears on the screen.
Like, are they implying some kind of microwave? When was... I don't even know what year this came out.
The entertainment center of the total electric home is a whole world of built-in pleasure. Never before has so much fun been organized in one convenient and compact area. Fun that the entire family
Take
can
notes.
enjoy
Might have
together.
to find the dream house for you and
For
Bob.
the young in heart, a button selects the latest hit record and plays it automatically. Your television screen is easily aimed toward any part of the room. And for a pleasant background of stereo classics, just press for your selections and put them on the Westinghouse Stereo Fidelity set with special speakers that surround you with music. Almost every form of home entertainment is centered here. AM/FM radio.
Almost like a entertainment center.
Tape recorder, slide projector, games of all kinds in drawers that roll out at a touch. There's even equipment for showing your own home movies, those personal dramas and comedies written, starred in, directed, and produced by you. A sliding wall of the entertainment center conceals a built-in projector that glides out into the room. Then, at the push of a button, the lights lower automatically, a large movie screen comes down, and it's time for the show.
This house has tape recorders. You're sold. That's all it takes.
Now, let's take a look at the health and beauty center of the Total Electric Home. The center that keeps you feeling as well as you look. Here, and throughout the house, beautiful fashion plate switches control your lighting. Just a tap of the fashion plate and lights are on or off with no buttons or switches sticking out. Overhead,
you still have a big panel, though.
Sun lamps shine down to give you that healthy glow. A true sun bath, even while shaving or making up. Being beautiful is so much easier here, too. There's an electrically warmed mirror that will never fog up. Over here is something truly remarkable. An experimental wall.
2Man642. What I've always found interesting about these homes of tomorrow is the level of production put into these fake houses. Yeah, well, they're basically like...
It isn't on the market
like
yet,
this
but...
I assume they built this house either for some World's Fair thing. I don't know where the World's Fair was being held, when this was. But a lot of the times they'll be built for, like, marketing purposes. Come and see the home of tomorrow, and it's a marketing expense.
When it does go on sale...
It's like the home and garden version of a concept car.
It will not only illuminate whatever room it's placed in, but also cool the room in summer and heat it in winter. To help maintain that healthy tingle, there's an electric massage table, and outside, an electric exerciser. You see, the Health and Beauty Center even extends outdoors into the fresh air and sunshine. A sliding wall here in the children's quarters converts one large area into 2 separate bedrooms at night. During the day, the wall slides back, and this becomes the Child's Education Center. There's an electrically operated planetarium to encourage a study of the stars.
Reminds you of the Carousel of Progress at Disney World. The Carousel of Progress was originally a World's Fair thing that they then rebuilt at Disneyland at Disney World. So you're spot on. D&D is tonight around 8 o'clock. So right after this video, I'm ending the stream.
The needs of the growing children in this house are provided for mentally as well as physically, with plenty of space to study or play. Slide projectors.
Hey, kitty.
The latest up-to-date maps of the world.
I thought it was tomorrow because Jake had mentioned it to me and mentioned Thursday, but he must have just misspoke.
And a whole host of electrical instruments that help the eager mind explore nature's secrets and, incidentally, help with the homework. Hobbies aren't forgotten here in the Total Electric Home either. They're more fun than ever here in the Hobby Center. Notice how compactly everything is arranged, with tools and supplies that tuck away into the smallest possible space. Everything is accessible at the touch of a button, compactly stored behind sliding walls, and is protected by an electric dehumidifier, which also helps keep the workshop dry. There's even a smaller version of the workshop for the kids. Designed primarily as a model building workshop, it's child-sized to help encourage the fun of building and creating. To complete the home workshop, there's even a paint spray booth. Equipped as he is with the latest in power tools and equipment, there's no job that's too big for Dad to tackle. Of course, Total Electric Living moves outdoors to the patio easily and conveniently. Here's a new idea, a portable power pole that sets into pre-wired locations and lets you use your television or any of your appliances outdoors.
Honestly, that's a little ahead of the curve in terms of like, hey, nowadays people want plugs, convenient for their phones and tablets and stuff. That's a little bit ahead of its time and forward thinking, accidentally.
If there are insects, the touch of a button provides screened-in comfort.
Oh, that's cool.
The screens are in place at night, out of the way during daylight hours. There are even wind screens that move at the touch of a button to give protection from wandering breezes. Eating outdoors is better than ever, too, in the total electric home. Here's a food and service bar that can be assembled in many different ways. And because it's topped with Westinghouse micarta, it is stain and beverage resistant, can be cleaned up with a simple wipe of a damp cloth.
There's nothing funny about the tools.
Set into its micarta top is the electric barbecue, complete with electric starter and an electric rotisserie.
PSAs are certain that only women's will use the kitchen and men's the tool shit. What about the butch ladies and femboys? This is the 50s. We weren't allowed to be those things.
All the conveniences are yours outdoors as well as indoors. But the real heart of this home is clean, safe, electric heating. A home is not totally electric without it. Yes, a new concept in living with the feel of the future is here today in this Westinghouse total electric home. And the wonder of it is, total electric living is not expensive. What's more, total electric homes can be built to fit every taste in styling, any climate, and most important, to suit any price range. As a matter of fact, total electric living is well within the reach of most people planning to build, buy, or remodel. The total electric home is another reason we can say that when it comes to leading the way with new ideas for better living, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
Does Westinghouse still exist as a big company? Did they get, like, bought out at some point? Westinghouse Electric Company. Yeah, they're still around. Did someone buy them out at some point? Because I don't really hear about that. I'm sure they still do a bunch of stuff. I just haven't heard about them in a long time. First incarnation of Westinghouse Electric Corporation, an American manufacturing company, was founded on January 8th, 1886. Originally named the Westinghouse Electric and Manufacturing Company and was renamed Westinghouse Electric Corporation in 1945. The company acquired the CBS television. They acquired CBS? Holy crap. In 95, and it was renamed into the first incarnation of CBS Corporation before being acquired by Viacom in 1999. As of August 2019, Westinghouse brand is managed by the Westinghouse Licensing Corporation, a subsidiary of Viacom CBS. Wow. I don't like that. Oh, boy. All right. That's it. We're going to raid Jake because the D&D session will be in 19 minutes or so. And that's the channel it takes place on. So he isn't live right now, but he will be. So thanks everyone for coming to the stream. It was fun. We'll do this again in the future. Tomorrow we'll be back to do something else. No idea what we'll be doing. Maybe a cringe stream, although we've done that relatively recently. So maybe it'll be something else. I don't know. If you're coming to the D&D, I hope you enjoy it. Other than that, chat is valid. Have a wonderful evening.